The Age of the Mecha, Fists That Shatter Stars. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 326 Test. Start the test. Facing two young men who are not much younger than him, Li Yi actually felt as if he were in another world. In the blink of an eye, young men of 15 or 16 years old can be regarded as juniors in his eyes. Moreover, the difference in strength level is simply a world of difference. However, the non-evolved people who can be selected at this age must be young geniuses with extraordinary talents. Li Yi smiled at the two of them in a friendly manner. Relax, follow the postures and breathing rhythms I told you to keep moving, and ignore my punches. Then, he orally recited the 18 classic postures he had sorted out, and asked the two young men to complete them one by one until they mastered them. The two young men are indeed the best among the non-evolved people, with outstanding comprehension and good physical athletic talent. They soon learned and became proficient in half an hour. Wang Lan's speed was slightly faster, while Lin Dong's movements were more spiritual. Both sides have their own outstanding features. Seeing this, Li Yi praised, "Not bad, young people nowadays have very good talents." Hearing this, Lin Dong and Wang Lan subconsciously held their heads high, their eyes flashing with a youthful vigor that only young people have. "Thank you for the compliment, sir." Zhao He and Lu Yunsheng on the other side, however, twitched at the corners of their mouths. "Li Yi, this kid, is still holding it up. Young people? The non-evolved people in front of you are not much different in age, right?" Although they knew that Li Yi had the qualifications to say such things, when they thought of their own age, they felt a little inexplicably shocked. "You are a senior, so aren't we old and old?" The two looked at each other, and they saw speechlessness in each other's eyes. "If the bodybuilding technique that Li Yi takes out doesn't work later, how about we take the opportunity to teach him a lesson? Let him know the truth of keeping a low profile." Lu Yunsheng sent a voice transmission and started to provoke. Zhao Li sighed and replied in a voice transmission, "Indeed, if Li Yi is a boy who makes a lot of noise but does little, then he should be reminded not to be too ostentatious. Old Lu, you go ahead. I am old and I am not strong enough. I will definitely cheer for you," Lu Yunsheng said in a voice transmission. "Deputy Director Zhao, how can this be done? You are the boss of this place. Without you, how can I dare to say anything about Li Yi? This kid's strength is probably really at the top 10 of the heavenly rank, right?" Zhao He laughed and replied, "Is it? I don't know about that. You can ask Li Yi to practice with you." Seeing that Zhao He did not take the bait, Lu Yunsheng had no choice but to curse him as an old fox. Just when these two old guys were communicating in private, Li Yi also began to move. He punched like the wind, and the subtle strength close to the micron level continued to burst out, hitting Lin Dong and Wang Lan in front of him. According to the results of his test on Chen Kai-ongzi, the effect of hitting acupoints is indeed much stronger than other parts. This test mainly targets the 36 main acupoints of the Xiangang in the human body. The 18 postures he required were also inspired by the key moving movements in the past fighting skills. After many attempts, Li Yi adjusted and created the 18 bodybuilding postures, which were combined with the subtle attacks on the 36 main acupoints of the Xiangang to obtain the best bodybuilding version for the time being. By the way, the so-called key moving movements are some postures that require a large amount of breathing when the human body is fighting. For example, the tiger descending from the mountain, the evil tiger holding a knife, the heavenly tiger wind god, etc. in the 8 tiger strike styles require a breath to the bottom and quickly complete the attack before changing breath. And Li Yi found that such moves that require a high amount of breathing are more effective when combined with his bodybuilding method. Snap! 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 In the blink of an eye, Li Yi completed the first wave of attacks on the two non-evolved people, and then asked them to change to another posture. In just 3 minutes, Li Yi completed a round of slapping. After all, he was a non-evolver this time, so his striking action also changed from fists and feet to palm slapping. His attack was fast, but the landing was quite gentle. It didn't take long for the two young men to have ruddy faces, and their blood was boiling. Everyone stared at Li Yi's actions closely, not daring to relax at all. Except for Zhao He, Lu Yunsheng, Lin Wendong, Mu Xianlei and others who were more familiar with him. The other people who were summoned had naturally heard of Li Yi's name. Some people participated in the Border Star Wars and knew that Li Yu was already a master comparable to the high-level Xian Wei. Even those who had not participated in the war knew that Li Yu was the first in the Youth Mecha Master competition this year, and discovered the heritage ruins. He was the most famous one among the young generation of human beings. They paid attention to the physical indicators, blood indicators, muscle density indicators, etc. displayed on the surrounding AI light screens, and slowly, they all showed surprise and confusion. The data actually went up slowly and firmly with Li Yi's slapping. Moreover, Li Yi's action was not over yet, and he carried out a second round of slapping. This time, he increased the force of the slap, and made minor adjustments according to the physique, strength and position of the two people. It's really amazing. After just one round of fighting, the growth rate of muscle density is so obvious. Interesting. Can this really work? No hurry, we still have to see the continuous effect. If there's a bottleneck, the epoch-making significance will probably be lower. Mu Xianlei and Lin Wendong also gathered together to exchange their views. Even if there's a bottleneck, it's okay. It's already amazing to be able to take this step. In the past, there were only gravity training methods, some old-fashioned martial arts physical training methods, and at most genetic enhancement drugs. There was no such a significant and effective means of physical improvement, and looking at Li Yi's situation, he has probably figured out a set of systematic means of improvement, Mu Xianlei said in a deep voice. Lin Wendong nodded and said, yes, it is extremely remarkable to be able to take this step. It is impossible to complete such a creation unless you have reached an amazing level of human body structure and fighting attainments. While talking, Li Yu finished the second round of beating and found that the two young men still had some strength left, so he smiled and said, how is it? Do you need me to beat them again after the 2 rounds? Each round of beating is not just to enjoy the pleasure of strengthening the body. With each round of beating, Li Yu's strength is also increasing, and the transformation of the deep structure of their bodies is also continuing to deepen. Therefore, every time they are beaten, the body will inevitably bear a greater load and pain pressure. After 2 rounds of beating, although the 2 young men still have strength left, they are also sweating profusely, their veins are bursting, their blood is boiling, and they can hardly control themselves. However, the 2 said without hesitation, please continue, sir. Li Yu smiled and continued to attack immediately. Snap! 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 After this round of power increased again, the physical indicators flashing on the light screen became obviously faster. Everyone stared at the rapid climbing movement of the indicators, and they were all a little stunned. And this was not over yet. Suddenly, there was a crackling sound of bones rubbing against each other on Lindong's body, and a different kind of divine glow flashed outside his body. Mu Xianlei was shocked. Is this a direct advancement to primary evolver? This bodybuilding method is so fierce. Chapter 327 Adjustment. The shock of the crowd continued. Following Lindong, Wang Lan, who was beside him, also had a large number of crackling and vibrating sounds in her body. Boom. Along with a slight roar coming from Wang Lan's body, the divine glow flashed and disappeared, and everyone realized that these 2 non-evolvers had actually advanced to the initial stage of evolution. Even if they were already in the bottleneck period before, it's too outrageous that they advanced just by training their bodies. Whether it's outrageous or not, the facts are here. If one person advances alone, it can still be considered a personal talent. If 2 people advanced one after another, it means that Li Yi's body training method is definitely extraordinary. That's right, no matter how it subverts common sense, facts are facts. For a moment, some people showed envy, while others thought that it would be their turn to be slapped by Li Yu next, and they were looking forward to it and couldn't help jumping for joy. Chen Kaiyongzi looked around at everyone, and her heart was full of a sense of accomplishment. She sighed in her heart. Sure enough, Li Yu is a person who can turn decay into magic. Being around such a person, maybe every day is a surprise. When I was in the special class, I could see at a glance that this guy was extraordinary. I was very sharp-sighted to focus on training him. I admire myself. Lu Yancheng kept a close eye on Li Yi's movements throughout the whole process, and also paid special attention to his slapping techniques. Originally, it was difficult for him to see Li Yi's subtle and exquisite techniques, and he thought it was just so-so. But when the 2 non-evolvers advanced to the initial evolutionists at once, he felt extremely strange in his heart, as if his worldview had been refreshed. There really is a method that can promote such changes in the physical body by mechanical movements alone, and can also stimulate the generation of divine genes in turn. Li Yu has such creativity, it is no longer a gifted talent. Perhaps, this is the fundamental reason why Lao Zhao pulled him into the decision-making level. His strength may not be as good as the top 10 in the heavenly position, but in terms of potential, I am far inferior. His thoughts kept flashing in his mind, and he felt that his previous judgment of Li Yu was really wrong. As a result, he looked at Zhao He next door with a little more respect. In the past, his respect for Zhao He was just respect for the strong. But now, he unexpectedly felt that Lao Zhao's wisdom and vision were much better than his own. Immediately, he whispered to Zhao He, "Deputy Director Zhao, I am convinced by you. I have offended you before." His respect for strength is obviously not as good as his respect for wisdom. The more you lack something, the more you respect it. Zhao He listened to Lu Yansheng's inexplicable words and almost didn't react. After a while, he suddenly realized and thought, could it be that Lao Lu has seen Li Yi's creativity, so he thinks that my move to pull him into the decision-making level was very wise? This old guy is really realistic, but then again, Li Yi's move is indeed worth looking forward to. The effect on non-evolvers has been verified, so let's see how it works on evolvers at other stages. While he was thinking, he suddenly saw Mu Xianli walking over and said to Li Yi, "Li Yi, I have seen your bodybuilding method. But why can it stimulate these two young people to advance to the initial stage? I'm more curious." Li Yi smiled and said, "Actually, I was a little surprised. I didn't expect it to have the effect of stimulating the generation of divine genes. I guess, first of all, the divine radiation of these two people has reached a certain level and reached the critical point, and what's missing is the finishing touch. Secondly, it's probably the deep changes in the physical body that have released their potential at the genetic level. Originally, I thought that the strength of the physical body was not as effective as the soul in terms of the generation of divine genes. It seems that the physical body can also stimulate the divine gene, but we lack methods other than divinity. After all, divinity is ultimately more inclined to the wonderful existence of souls and minds. We were probably confused by it before and ignored the role of the physical body. Of course, to know how much effect a physical body can produce, I'm afraid we have to do another specific research project to study it. At this moment, we can only put it aside for the time being. Now, it's your turn to the beginners. There are 4 candidates for the beginner level, and they are also members of the special class of the Moon Fortress. They are naturally acquainted with Lin Dong and Wang Lan, so after seeing the amazing performance of these two people, they are also looking forward to how many surprises Li Yi can bring to them. Immediately, these 4 people also walked in front of Li Yi, each with their heads held high and their eyes shining. Li Yi glanced at everyone and started to punch. Whoosh! The fist was as fast as lightning and hit quickly. Snap! 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 After a few punches, the 6 upper-level evolvers in front of him had been beaten by Li Yi for the 3rd round. The 18 body postures are easy to imitate, but it is not easy to withstand Li Yi's increasingly heavy fists. Every upper-level evolver felt as if his whole body was bitten by ants, numb and itchy, and there was also a strange feeling of blood stagnation. It was like being sleep-paralyzed by a ghost. The brain could move, but the body could not move at all. They just stood there, stiff all over. After a while, when the blood in their bodies began to circulate again, their faces changed drastically. Snap, snap. The 6 lost their balance and fell to the ground one after another, curling up like hunched shrimps, in pain, and kept screaming. Seeing this, Li Yi frowned slightly and thought. Mu Xianli came over and said, "What's going on with them? Can't they bear your strength? Or is there any side effect of this bodybuilding method?" I saw the AI light screen next to me. Although the physical data indicators were slowly growing, the growth effect was obviously not as good as the previous non-evolvers, primary evolvers and middle evolvers. Each of these 3 types of experimenters showed a good data growth effect, which inspired everyone and shouted that a new era for mankind is really coming. But I didn't expect that when it was the turn of the upper evolvers, such a change would occur. You know, in the past, when these experimenters accepted Li Yi's fists and palms, they did not show such painful performance at all. The most common characteristics were boiling blood and changes in deep muscle tissues. Li Yi also felt strange. Even the heavenly Chen Kai Ongxian himself had the effect. Why did these upper evolvers have problems? He looked at the data indicators presented on the AI light screen, and his eyes showed a thoughtful look. Zhao He also came over, observed for a moment, and said, rather than a side effect, it's more of a problem of physical adaptability. The biggest difference between the upper stage and the middle stage is that the divine gene has basically reached the maximum quota. Perhaps, when the divine gene is full, this bodybuilding method cannot be applied, Chen Kaiyongzi said, but this is not right. Li Yi's bodybuilding method was tested on me. If I can do it, why can't they? Chapter 328 Abnormal. Li Yi pondered and said, let's check the physical condition of these people first. Maybe they have some special experience or special physique, which may not be related to the evolution stage. As he said, Li Yi started to operate the AI light screen. He called up various data indicators and specific detailed data. For example, in the muscle density indicator, in addition to the density data, there are 3 classification data below. They are muscle fiber density, tendon density, and fascia density. There are also different coupling degrees between different densities. If 1 or 2 of the indicators cannot keep up, it will also cause the muscle density data to rise, but it will cause the test subject to have spasms and convulsions. It is equivalent to being unable to bear the increase of oneself, which is also possible. Not only that, we have to see which time period, which time interval corresponding to which striking action, has produced what abnormal data changes. If we can locate the abnormal time segment from these time indicators, it may not be impossible. However, when Li Yi finished scanning a circle of data indicators, he ruled out the above 2 possibilities. It is not a coordination problem caused by a problem with the increase of a single data item. There is no judgment in which time segment to determine which striking action has abnormal changes. Moreover, from the data, although the 6 people's growth rates are slightly different, the overall changes are consistent. Compared with the growth rates of the previous primary and middle evolutionists, they are also consistent. This shows that the problem is mostly not in the bodybuilding method. Or, as Zhao He said, the full amount of divine genes of the upper evolutionists are special. Or, it is other factors. Genes? Soul? Thinking of this, Li Yi walked in front of one of the upper evolutionists, pressed his chest with one hand, and grabbed his eyelids with the other hand to check the pupil. At the same time, the microelectric sensing ability was activated to carefully feel the consciousness of the other's brain. These upper evolutionists have fainted, so they can't resist Li Yi's inspection at all. Some inspection methods are unique to Li Yi, and AI has never had them. For example, brain wave scanning and acquisition, AI can naturally obtain it, but due to the special and hidden nature of brain waves, the accuracy is not as good as Li Yi's microelectric characteristics. Microelectric characteristics can be said to be the characteristics that Li Yi has studied most deeply in the Thor sequence. Among the characteristics he currently uses frequently, the frequency of use is even higher than that of his characteristics with the largest increase, such as change and space. Using this characteristic, he can stimulate the nerves, muscles, brain, blood vessels and other objects throughout the body, so that he can achieve an effect comparable to that of an explosive skill. It can also be used to detect lies and decipher the brain waves of humans and star races. Even forcibly tamper with the consciousness of other people's brains. Of course, this step is currently just a little inspiration he got from Wu Huanling's dream virtual mother machine, and it has not been fully realized. But he knows that this path is absolutely feasible and is a means comparable to the thought stamp. At this moment, with the help of microelectric characteristics, he quickly noticed that there was something inconsistent in the brain consciousness of these upper evolutionists. That was not a thought stamp, but something more bizarre. Like the debris of consciousness, it floats on the surface of the other party's main consciousness, very subtle and difficult to detect. This sensed picture made Li Yi feel a little familiar. Sure enough, the consciousness of these 6 upper evolutionists has been polluted. Li Yi's heart moved slightly. However, just a contamination of consciousness does not seem to affect the effectiveness of the bodybuilding method. Thinking of this, he immediately called the AI assistant. Now conduct a deep genetic test. Please transfer the medical cabin with nanorbits. Li Yi's order made everyone present a little suspicious. These people fainted, and nanorbits were actually used. Medical activities involving nanorbits are either serious injuries that need to be repaired quickly, or genetic injuries. Could it be that the 6 upper evolutionists have genetic injuries in their bodies? These questions did not stay in everyone's minds for long, and Lu Yansheng asked directly, Li Yi, what's the situation now? Is there something wrong with your method that caused these people to suffer genetic injuries? Or is it these people who have problems? Li Yu shook his head and said, we will know when the medical cabin is transferred. I suspect that their genes and consciousness have been contaminated by some mysterious means. Hearing this, Zhao He frowned slightly, glanced around, and then lowered his voice and said, could it be a resuscitator? Just like the consciousness lurking in Xingyu before, Lu Yancheng also thought of this possibility and hurriedly looked at Li Yi. Li Yu said, I don't rule out this possibility, but I think it's a little different from Xingyu's revival at the time. It's a little bit specious. Maybe it's a variant method of the ancestor of the Star Clan, or maybe it's another resuscitator's method. He didn't say who the resuscitator was, but from what he has observed so far, it's hard to say whether it's Wu Huanling's method. In the past, he didn't know why Wu Huanling had such a mysterious method, and even a machine as Crossira as the Dream Virtual Mother machine could be made. Now it seems that Wu Huanling may also be a resuscitator. Even if not, he is also an intelligent creature that has inherited the legacy of the resuscitator. In short, there must be a connection. Zhao He touched his chin and said, however, it is amazing that the contaminated consciousness can be found out because of the bodybuilding method. Lu Yancheng said, it is probably because Li Yi's bodybuilding method also has the effect of promoting the soul. Otherwise, it is difficult to explain why it can stimulate the generation of the divine genes of the two non-evolvers before. I guess this effect should be able to promote the coordination between the soul and the body, and these 6 upper-level evolvers just happen to have an uncoordinated soul and body, but when they were slapped, they felt so painful that they wanted to die. Zhao He nodded and said, it is indeed possible, but this also shows that Li Yi's method is really amazing. Lu Yancheng said, no, I think we should think about another problem, that is, since there is such a wonderful connection between the body and the soul. And it has been proven that starting from the body can indeed have a stronger promoting effect on the soul, then our practice and evolution theory should be changed. Zhao He's heart was slightly shocked. Indeed, Laolu, you are right to remind me, this is indeed a bigger thing. Next, our 100-year plan may have to add another more important task. As they were talking, the medical cabin had been called over. Several people took action and put the 6 people into the medical cabin, activated the nanorobots directly, and began genetic testing. Zzz. In the medical cabin, the silver-white nanorobots gathered into thin threads visible to the naked eye and drilled into the nostrils of the 6 upper-level evolvers. In order to speed up the inspection efficiency, Li Yu directly activated the maximum power and called out all the nanorobots. The number was extremely astonishing. If it was a normal treatment, these nanoscale things would definitely not be visible to the naked eye. Chapter 329 Spider. It costs a lot of money to produce nanorobots at full capacity, but with Li Yi's current authority, he basically doesn't spend much after the discount, so he doesn't care about this consumption. Soon, about 3 minutes later, the AI screen showed the test information of the first round of gene sequences. Several people gathered around and stared at the values on the interface. After a while, Zhao He's eyes moved slightly. Non-human genome accounts for 4%? So high. Normally, the genetic gap between chimpanzees and humans is only about 1%. Seeing this value, everyone's face was a little ugly. This shows that the speculation has come true. The genes of these 6 upper evolutionists have also been contaminated. You must know that this is the lunar fortress, the largest outer barrier of the super base camp of the Earth. If there is a problem with the lunar fortress, whether the gene pool inside the Earth is affected is also unknown. In this way, the century-long genetic evolution plan jointly formulated by several powerful people has become empty talk and a bubble. Lu Yancheng narrowed his eyes and said, it seems that the claws of the resurrectors are really long. They can even pollute our upper evolutionists. Zhao He said, don't panic, don't be panic, the problem may not be uncontrollable. As he spoke, he used his authority to query the past family and background relationships of the 6 upper evolutionists. Li Yu looked at the updated values on the AI screen and said thoughtfully, the situation is not that bad. At present, it seems that the genetic pollution ratios among these 6 people are also different. For example, the genetic pollution ratio of this tall man is particularly high, reaching 8%. This shows that this person is the original pollution caller, and it is he who passed on this pollution to several familiar teammates. As he said, Li Yu squatted down and touched the chest of the tall upper evolutionist with one palm. Then, the microelectric characteristics were activated. Zzz. With the extremely subtle blue-green arc flashing, Li Yu hit the opponent's heart with another palm of subtle power. The two overlapped and activated the opponent's heart. Plop, plop. Soon, the tall man's heart made an unusual sound, and he was awakened by the boiling blood and opened his eyes suddenly. He opened his eyes and saw Li Yi, with a bit of confusion in his eyes. "Captain Li? What's wrong with me?" Li Yi said. "There was an accident in your experimental test just now, and the data was a little abnormal, so I have a question to ask you. You must answer truthfully, understand? Now answer my first question. What is your name, where's your planet, and which squad do you belong to?" "My name is Luo Yin. I was born on Mars, from the 3rd Mobile Mecha team of the Lunar Fortress, and my position is captain." Although Luo Yin didn't know what was going on and didn't understand what was going on, he saw Li Yi, and Zhao He and Lu Yancheng around him, who were all well-known federal figures, so he was naturally very honest. Lin Wendong, Mu Xianli, Chen Kaiongzi and others standing on the periphery also had a strong aura, and they were also masters of the heavenly position at a glance. He didn't dare to act rashly, and soon told the bottom of his origins under Li Yi's questioning. After listening to Luo Yin's answers to various questions, everyone looked at each other and felt a little confused. The confusion was that there was no flaw in this experience. There was no suspicious place. This guy, did he really not know that he was contaminated? If he didn't know, how could he be contaminated by his genes and soul? Zhao He and Lu Yansheng looked at each other and felt a little tricky. Is this a more powerful resurrectionist? Or are all resurrectors so abnormal, good at hiding, parasitism, and lurking? At this time, Li Yu said, "Yes, Luo Yin, judging from your past experience, you are quite loyal to your duties and work diligently, which is worthy of praise, but do you know what we just detected from you? Do you know why a big shot like Deputy Minister Zhao put aside many important things and came to listen to your past experiences?" Luo Yin smiled bitterly. "Captain Li, I really don't know anything. Could it be related to an important criminal in the Federation?" Hearing this, Li Yu noticed a slight movement in Luo Yin's brain waves. This movement came from the strange thing in his soul, which was like a thought stamp. Li Yu knew immediately that he had asked the right question. He said, "Very good, it seems that you have some clues. Tell me, why do you think it is related to this federal criminal?" Related to this, Luo Yin frowned. "If there is a possible connection, it may be a prisoner I met when I was a prisoner transporter in Henshin prison. This person is the heavenly evolver of the True Saint Church, who was captured by Commander He Kaiyongying last time. This evolver has no name, because the divine mecha he controls has the appearance of a spider, so we codenamed him Black Spider." Hearing this, Li Yi's heart moved slightly. The True Saint Church evolver captured by He Kaiyongying, the one driving the spider mecha, could it be the group of attackers he encountered when he first went to Earth last time? At that time, this spider mecha was the only true Saint Church figure who escaped from his hands in advance. Unexpectedly, it was successfully captured by Chen Kaiyongzi and imprisoned in Henshin prison. At this time, Luo Yin continued to say, "At that time, I was responsible for delivering food to the area where the black spiders were located, and observing and monitoring their situation. Sometimes when I went there for inspection, others were very afraid of me. But only this bound black spider talked to me more. Of course I ignored him, but he lured me with some secret information and told me a lot of secrets inside the True Saint Church. I was eager to make a contribution, so I was attracted by him and agreed to deliver some fresh food to him." Lu Yansheng snorted, "You are just an upper-level evolver, but you have the courage to trade with a heavenly evolver like this. Even if this is in the god-suppressing prison, there are great risks. You kid are not afraid of how you will die. What's more, even if you have good talent, you are not Li Yi. How dare you act like this?" Luo Yin said with shame. "I don't know why, I believed the evil of that guy and got in touch with him more and more. But even so, I still kept my distance and always drove the mecha over. Logically speaking, it should be unlikely to be harmed, right?" Li Yu said. "Then, are you sure that the transaction with the black spider is limited to sending some fresh food?" Luo Yin said. "Commanders, what I said is true. I also know my own weight and military regulations, and I will never violate them. I just have to do this to obtain information." Li Yu shook his head and said, "Unfortunately, according to my judgment, you are most likely contaminated by the black spider you mentioned, including your soul and genes. In other words, after some unknown means of his, you are no longer human. I am not a human anymore." Hearing this, Luo Yin's head seemed to bang and buzz. Zhao He looked at Li Yi and said, "Li Yi, are you sure it is this black spider?" a mere heavenly rank, really has such a stealthy ability to contaminate an upper-level evolver without any contact? And pass it on to several of his colleagues around him. Chapter 330 Potential. Li Yu said, "From Luo Yin's conscious activities, I can feel his intense activity when he talked about the black spider. Even if this manifestation was not done by the black spider, it is closely related to the black spider. As for whether he is capable of completing it, is it possible that this black spider is not an ordinary celestial being? For example, he was captured with a certain purpose, in order to pollute our prisoners." Zhao He said, "Your speculation is not unreasonable. However, what are the characteristics of this consciousness and gene pollution? What are the consequences?" He has rich experience and naturally thought of various possibilities at the first time. However, he knew that in this situation, Li Yu was the expert in brainwave decoding. With the expert in front of him, it is natural to ask the expert. However, before Li Yu answered, Lu Yansheng interrupted and said, "Before that, I am more concerned about one thing. Li Yu, is your bodybuilding method because the genes of these 6 people were contaminated and the bodybuilding failed, or because of the resistance of their souls? Normally, it is of course because of genes, right? But the problem is that after they fainted, they didn't seem to speak as normally as before." As he said that, he pointed at Luo Yin's face and said, "Didn't you notice that this kid's facial expression has become more awkward?" Li Yu and Zhao He looked at each other and shook their heads. "No." Li Yu thought for a moment. "Commander Lu, did you know Luo Yin before?" Lu Yansheng said, "Yes, I have seen this guy. I have seen him at the Youth Mecha Master competition. He also participated in the competition this time, but he didn't make it to the 3rd round." Zhao He said, "In other words, because you have seen Luo Yin before, you can detect that this guy's facial expression is abnormal." Lu Yansheng shrugged and said, "Most likely." Li Yu looked at Luo Yin again, stretched out his slender fingers, reached over, and flicked Luo Yin's forehead. Snap! After a slight sound, Li Yu used his subtle perception ability to carefully feel the condition of Luo Yin's facial muscles. While feeling it, he called the AI assistant and used his 9th level authority to directly call up the surveillance records of Luo Yin's past in public places. Soon, a large number of Luo Yin's entry and exit records appeared on the light curtain. Since Li Yu had a lot of records to check, there were a lot of pictures on the light curtain, like countless surveillance screens appeared in front of everyone. When the light curtain was unfolded, Li Yu had already timely dismissed those people with less than 8th level authority, including Lin Wenzhong, Mu Xianli, and Chen Kaiongzi, who could not see it. Lu Yansheng carefully observed the light screen, and suddenly his eyes moved slightly. "Look, you see, starting from the record about 2.5 months ago, his facial expression began to change. According to my superficial understanding of soul science, personality and soul are corresponding. The eyes are the door to the soul, and the face is the reflection of the personality. In other words, this person's soul began to change from this time. Even if Luo Yin himself does not feel that he has been polluted, the fact has already happened quietly. After that, within a month, Luo Yin's physical characteristics began to change very slightly. In other words, this kid's soul probably changed before his genes." After listening to Lu Yansheng's analysis, Li Yu and Zhao He carefully observed the corresponding time point monitoring mentioned by Lu Yansheng. When comparing the two, they were a little surprised. Is this still the Lu Yansheng they knew before? A rare and detailed analysis for the first time. Zhao He couldn't help but ask, "Old Lu, you haven't been contaminated, have you? How come you suddenly changed so much?" Lu Yansheng laughed. "What a joke. I'm just too lazy to use my brain, but at critical moments, I will still think and analyze carefully." Li Yu then said, "The question raised by Commander Lu is also very critical. Although theoretically, my bodybuilding method should have a rejection reaction to the abnormal genes of Luo Yin and others. But considering that this bodybuilding method also has a promoting effect on the soul, it cannot be ruled out that the soul is the root cause of the abnormality of the bodybuilding method. Based on these two differences, it also implicitly represents the potential of the bodybuilding method." Zhao He nodded and said, "Yes, if the situation is the latter, the bodybuilding method is an abnormal reaction caused by the dual effects of the soul and the body, which means that the bodybuilding method is an advanced method that can achieve dual cultivation of the soul and the body. Our subsequent cultivation methods can completely build a new cultivation system with Li Yi's bodybuilding method as the core. In the early stage, we naturally cannot get rid of the shackles of the divine civilization. We still need to draw enough evolutionary nutrients from the divine mecha, When we develop to the later stage, we can naturally consider getting rid of the divine civilization completely, and walk out of our own world and our own path, and our other core means to deal with the millennium disaster is undoubtedly this bodybuilding method. Zhao He's words were resounding, and Lin Wenzhong, Mu Xianli, and Chen Kaiyongzi, who were not far away, heard them clearly, and they couldn't help but feel heroic. The millennium disaster was naturally kept secret below the heavenly rank. But the heavenly rank naturally did not keep it secret, and gradually learned about it. Lu Yansheng looked at Li Yi with a strange light in his eyes. Li Yi, it seems that you will become the ancestor of human bodybuilding. Old Zhao and I may only be a tiny ripple in human civilization, but you will definitely become the most powerful source in the long river of human civilization. Li Yi laughed and said, Commander Lu, you are too kind. This bodybuilding method is only the first edition. At present, only part of the effect has been verified. Except for Luo Yin and others, whether there are other sequelae or other bottlenecks is still unknown. Lu Yansheng gave Li Yi a thumbs up and said, that's nothing. Even if your current strength is probably just an ordinary high-level heavenly level, I believe that with a bodybuilding method you invented, you are the one of mankind. Zhao He was speechless. Old Lu actually thought that Li Yi's strength was just an ordinary high-level heavenly level. Li Yi said, two commanders, let's forget about the flattery and discuss how to arrange for Black Spider. Lu Yansheng said, let Lao He handle the Black Spider matter and bring him to trial directly. Zhao He said, I'll contact Lao He now. I'm afraid that Black Spider has other tricks and may not be so easy to reveal the truth. As for Li Yi, you continue to test the effects of the heavenly stage. In addition, I'll ask someone to arrange another group of upper-level evolvers to come and test for you. Li Yi said to Lu Yansheng, Commander Lu, how about you do the heavenly stage first? You have a strong body and are not afraid of damage. This time, I will do my best to strengthen your body. Lu Yansheng smiled and said, are you sure that your full strength beating will work on me? Or should we let other beginners try first? Why not give it a try? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 331 Shock. Lu Yansheng laughed. Li Yi, I like your confidence, then come on. Li Yi nodded, his eyes began to change, becoming more focused and sharp. Then, he started to activate the 3.3 version of the explosive skill. This version of the explosive skill has already included all the characteristic powers he currently possesses except for space. Soon, whether it is the newly added friction, or the extremely hard and gravity characteristics that he has only mastered recently, they are all guided by his perfect control methods and accurately activated in the body. Friction reduces the friction of the flow of qi and blood in the body, and the extremely hard characteristics enhance the toughness of organs and blood vessels in various parts of the body, and then use deformation and superelastic characteristics to bear the huge blood pressure. The gravitational characteristics, on the other hand, are finely repelled or attracted in various parts of the body, accelerating the flow of qi and blood, reducing the gravity load of various parts of the body, and making the body in a freer and more boiling state. In addition, the four major characteristics of wind, fire, thunder and ice have also been adjusted, constantly coordinating inside and outside the body, blessing the state of the body. Soon, hot white steam rose from his body. Lu Yansheng was the first in the heavenly rank after all, and his physical foundation was indeed not weak, surpassing Li Yi by 3 major ranks. Li Yi's current physical foundation was only equivalent to the 6th rank of the heavenly rank. The reason why he could have the combat power of the top 10 heavenly rank was mainly based on his own subtle level fighting skills, the 3.2 burst skills he had mastered before, and the conceptualized Pluto sequence characteristics. But in the past few days, when he was practicing the seeding void technique with Chen Kaiyongzi and figuring out a body forging method, he naturally had other gains. For example, this 3.3 version of the burst skill was a new version of the burst skill that he could finally launch after his physical body was further strengthened by the body forging method. The biggest iteration of this version was to make full use of the characteristics of gravity to further liberate the cells in the body. This was also thanks to the conceptual characteristics of gravity and his subtle perception ability. The combination of the two allowed him to slightly release the potential of some cells, allowing the body to reach the maximum potential release state at a certain moment. In the state of this skill, his combat power has greatly exceeded the increase brought by the 3.2 burst skill. Even he has not actually tested the limit of this burst skill. In fact, if this 3.3 version of the burst skill is operated well in the future, it is very likely to be iterated into a new 4.0 burst skill to achieve a stronger amplification effect. After all, he is now offsetting the repulsion of the body's internal attraction and release the potential of the body, which actually only offsets a small part of the repulsion of the current body. Once it can be completely offset, it will be the full version of the 4.0 burst skill. By then, I am afraid that he will be able to show the strength and speed comparable to the strongest with his current body. When he demonstrated this move with Chen Kai-ongzi before, it was only slightly revealed for a moment. Even Chen Kai-ongzi, who was with him throughout the whole process, did not know how terrible this move was. The reason why he used this fresh 3.3 burst skill without hesitation was naturally his respect for Liu Yansheng's strength. The strongest person who is the strongest in the heavenly rank, who can suppress Li Guang, must have a strong body, which is probably comparable to the C-class mecha. The ordinary forging force may not have much effect. Therefore, Li Yu also tried his best this time to verify the strengthening effect of his method on the top-level strong people in the heavenly rank. If it can be done, the strategic and practical significance to mankind will undoubtedly be pulled to a greater level. If all the top strong people of mankind are strengthened, won't the next war be smoother? At this time, Li Yu launched the 3.3 version of the burst skill with all his strength, and the powerful momentum also changed Liu Yansheng's eyes when looking at Li Yi. His original ease had long disappeared. Li Yu is so strong. The strong physical characteristics and the surrounding traces brought by the extreme strengthening of the physical body made Liu Yansheng quickly realize that Li Yi in front of him definitely had the capital to compete with him. He was extremely shocked. Suddenly, he thought of the strange things that happened to Zhao He and He Guangzi before. Everything became clear to him, so that's why. No wonder Lao Zhao asked Lao Lin and Lao Qin to bring Li Yi into the decision-making level. It's probably because Lao Zhao told them about Li Yi's real strength. It must be Lao He who came up with the idea to hide it from me. These two bastards, look at how embarrassed I am. I must teach these two guys a lesson later. When Liu Yansheng thought of the many times he had underestimated Li Yi's strength, his face hurt. Thinking of this, Liu Yansheng said, Li Yi, it seems I have to take back what I said before. You have such strength. I have to admit that I underestimated you before. Come on, let me see if your bodybuilding method can strengthen my body. As he said that, Liu Yansheng lowered his arms, took a slight horse stance, and performed the first bodybuilding action. With his ability, he naturally had mastered this bodybuilding posture. Li Yu nodded slightly and said nothing. At this moment, his 3.3 burst skills were almost ready. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. Pa pa pa. On the field, two strong bodies collided quickly. Liu Yansheng's bodybuilding postures changed very quickly, and Li Yi's bodybuilding strikes also coordinated faster and faster. The two secretly competed with each other, and their speed became more and more outrageous. Many people used their eyesight to the limit, and even the afterimages were not clear. Gradually, the violent fist wind swirled up and tore around. The entire training ground seemed to have a giant hurricane appearing out of thin air. Everyone around undoubtedly felt the pressure from the top level of the heavenly position. Not to mention Lin Wendong and others who were quite strong. Even Zhao Hui, the strongest, was pierced by the huge movement of Li Yi's attack and the violent wind brought by the recoil of Liu Yansheng's body, and his skin was slightly painful. Zhao Hui sighed in his heart. Li Yi's strength has improved again. He actually has such a means to quickly increase his strength. Lao Lu has made a great progress. Obviously, he is also extraordinary. Such a talent is indeed a blessing for our human race. Chen Kai-ongzi was blown unsteadily by the strong wind and was secretly shocked. She didn't expect Li Yi's strength to reach such a terrifying level. Those who were weaker around were constantly flying backwards by the strong airflow of the top level of the heavenly position. Lin Wendong and Mu Xianli, who had stabilized their positions in the strong wind, were also shocked when they saw the physical indicators flashing wildly on the AI light screen. The rate of change is so fast. Originally, in their cognition, the stronger it should be, the slower it will increase, right? This is too outrageous, right? Could this be the amazing effect of Li Yi's full effort to strengthen the body for others? Suddenly, everyone suddenly felt an extremely strong divine glow flashing out. Zhao He's eyes were bright, shocked and surprised. Lao Luo's advanced to the strongest. Chapter 332, The Strongest. Everyone was shocked when they heard Zhao He's voice. He has advanced to the strongest level? Even if Lu Yansheng is the first in the heavenly level, he must have been stuck at this level for more than 10 or 20 years, right? Is Li Yi's bodybuilding method really so terrifying? He can actually break through other people's bottlenecks? At this moment, the most shocked person is not others, but Lu Yansheng himself. He never expected that with Li Yi's full-powered forging, his physical body would not only improve, but his soul seemed to be nourished by some mysterious nourishment and became stronger and stronger. With the strengthening of the soul, the fusion of the three divine nuclei was no longer so incompatible, but began to blend into each other. He could clearly feel that under the guidance of the powerful soul, the three divine nuclei began to squeeze and merge with each other. However, the fusion speed was not fast enough. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a breakthrough. How can it be let go? Thinking of this, he shouted, Li Yi, can you add a little more strength? At this moment, Li Yi naturally felt a change in Lu Yansheng's breath and the violent fluctuation of brain waves. He would not miss the chance to see a top-level heavenly rank expert break through to the supreme power in front of him. At this moment, Lu Yansheng was completely exposed to him, whether it was brainwave fluctuations or physical changes. This helped him to peek into the secrets of advancing to the supreme power in advance, which was also a great gain. Immediately, he entered the state of ego essence and brain superlifting without hesitation. With the blessing of these two means, his explosive skills became smoother and his consumption was reduced by a large amount out of thin air by his powerful brain power and various exquisite techniques. Soon, his breath also soared. Boom! Everyone was even more shocked to see that Li Yi's breath could still rise. Is this still a human? Especially Lin Wendong and Mu Xianli, they were even more amazed. Because they had worked with Li Yi for a period of time before he became an upper-level evolver, and they had also seen Li Yi's amazing transformation. But even so, they never expected that Li Yi, who is not even 20 years old yet, has the ability to crush them far. This is really, people are so annoying when they compare themselves to others. Mu Xianli's mouth twitched slightly, his face full of helplessness and envy. Lin Wendong glanced at Mu Xianli and said lightly, Old Mu, from today on, we have to practice more, don't let Li Yi become the strongest in the future, and we haven't even advanced to the 7th stage, Mu Xianli said with shame. Okay. Chen Kaiyongzi saw that everyone who was stronger than him, including Zhao He, could not hide his shocked eyes, and for some reason, he felt a different kind of satisfaction in his heart. At this time, with the surge of Li Yi's breath, the various strikes he made on Lu Yansheng became more accurate and more powerful. Even the subtle power that was originally close to the micron level was constantly improving and rising, from the ordinary millimeter level to the micron level. Originally, the level he had reached before with all his strength was that he could accurately break down objects into fragments of about 0.05 millimeters with one punch, which was already very amazing. At this level, he could already crush larger cells and change a small part of the human body's cells with one punch without affecting others. And now, with the superposition of various explosive skills, the temporary increase in soul strength, and the state of going all out, his current micro-level power has faintly reached 0.02 millimeters, which is equivalent to 20 microns. Soon, as the accuracy and strength of his micro-power increased, Lu Yansheng felt that a lot of potential contained in his body was activated. The three divine nuclei in his body were merging faster and faster. Until Li Yi fought to the 30th round, suddenly bang! An unprecedented terrifying aura surged out of Lu Yansheng's body. In an instant, everyone present felt an extremely tyrannical soul oppression. In addition to strong men like Zhao He and Li Yi, others, including Lin Wendong, whose combat power is comparable to that of the 7th stage of the heavenly rank in Zhao Menghao, were also shocked by the strong soul pressure, and the pupils shrank sharply. Is this the value of the first heavenly rank after advancing to the strongest? Just the soul pressure can make a strong man like Lin Wendong breathless for a while? Lin Wendong is still like this, and the weaker middle level and initial level evolvers around him lie directly on the ground, their eyes turn white, and they faint and lose consciousness all of a sudden. The weaker heavenly rank initial stage also gritted their teeth and held on. On the contrary, Chen Kaiyongzi's performance was better. She directly extracted the divine will of the void art to help herself resist the soul pressure this time, which was much easier than Lin Guotao. Zhao He knew that at the moment of advancing to the strongest, due to the violent fusion of the divine nucleus, the soul would gain an incomparable increase and transform in one breath. Therefore, Lu Yansheng would not be able to restrain his soul power at this time and release it to the surroundings. After a while, his three cores will merge into one, and his soul power will be effectively controlled, so he will not release pressure to the surroundings like this. The fact is just as Zhao He expected. After about a few minutes, Lu Yansheng's soul pressure slowly converged, and everyone finally felt relieved. Li Yu watched Lu Yansheng's advancement process throughout. Through microelectric induction, he recorded all the fluctuations of Lu Yansheng's brain waves. Even the subtle changes in his body were the same. Li Yu had a hunch that as long as the various changes in Lu Yansheng's body during the advancement were adjusted and superimposed in the form of body forging method, it should be possible to replicate some of the effects of the physical transformation of the advancement to the strongest. In this way, the effect of the body forging method can be further improved, and it will also be quite effective for him. After a while, Lu Yansheng slowly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, a fierce light flashed and disappeared. As soon as Lu Yansheng opened his eyes, he saw Li Yi and burst into laughter. Li Yi, your bodybuilding method is really good. Can you give me another one? Li Yi touched his chin and said with a smile, Commander Lu, that's enough. Your physical strength has increased so much now. I don't have the strength to build your body, Lu Yansheng said. Well, it's also my greed. From today on, Li Yi, you are my good buddy. If Lao Zhao bullies you in the future, you can tell me at any time and I will help you. He patted his chest and looked very generous. No one of us will bully Li Yi, baby, it's too late. Zhao He glanced at Lu Yansheng speechlessly, walked over, and exclaimed to Li Yi, it's incredible. To be honest, I'm still in a dream. Li Yi, your bodybuilding method can even break the bottleneck of the strongest level. Do you want to give your bodybuilding method a resounding name? Chapter 333 Tiangang. A resounding name, Li Yu pondered. Lu Yansheng's eyes lit up. Indeed, for mankind, this was a brand new bodybuilding system that was like the beginning of the world. It really needed a resounding name. However, he thought about it carefully and said, how about calling it Li's bodybuilding method? It doesn't matter if it sounds good or not. The key is that it can reflect that it is the bodybuilding method created by Li Yi, the so-called original and clear source. Right, Zhao He touched his chin and said, this is too ordinary. Is there a name that can reflect Li Yi and his unique status? At this time, Mu Xian Li also came over and said with a smile, why not call it Yujin bodybuilding method? Although I haven't personally experienced what Li Yi's bodybuilding method is like, from what I have seen along the way, basically those who have been beaten by Li Yi will strengthen their muscles and bones first. In that case, how about naming it Yujin bodybuilding method directly? It can reflect Li Yi's name and it sounds better than Li's bodybuilding method, right? Zhao He didn't sound very satisfied and shook his head and said, let's use the backup option first. It's not domineering enough. Are there any others? Chen Kaiyongzi also came over at this time and said with a smile, the essence of Li Yi's move is to use extremely strong and subtle force to hit the 36 Xiangang acupoints of the human body, and then combine it with a unique body posture to form a wonderful bodybuilding method. How about calling it the Xiangang Yidi microforging method? After all, Chen Kaiyongzi and Li Yi had experienced more than a day of thinking and research together. Moreover, as the first experimenter, she was sensitive and provided Li Yi with the best first-hand feedback on the creation of such a bodybuilding method. Therefore, she naturally knew that the root of this bodybuilding method was the subtle force. Although others could see Li Yi's specific process, they could not understand the principle, so the naming was naturally very different. Hearing this, Li Yi's eyes lit up and smiled. I think Instructor Chen's suggestion is good, and it fits my basic design of this bodybuilding method. Moreover, the word micro can just represent Chen Kaiyongzi, the co-creator of this bodybuilding method. After all, Chen Kaiyongzi's main characteristic is the microdust characteristic, which is also a relatively rare characteristic among humans. Using this to represent Chen Kaiyongzi just fits Li Yi's idea. Although Chen Kaiyongzi may not have had this idea at first, There is no doubt that this is indeed the best way to name it, that Li Yi thinks. When the others heard what Li Yi said, they thought about it carefully and also thought that this name was good. Very good, Xiangang Yidi Duan Wa Yifa, I think it's good, I second this name, Mu Xianli said with a smile. Zhao He also smiled and said, since you, the creator, Li Yi, think it's good, then let's name it this. From now on, we humans will start to focus on Duan Wa Yifa, Li Yi. In the future, it will not be an exaggeration to call you the ancestor of human body forging. Lu Yansheng also laughed and said, that's right, the method created by my good brother Lu Yansheng is nothing but awesome. Since Li Yi helped him break through to the strongest, his attitude towards Li Yi has changed 180 degrees. Originally, he only regarded Li Yi as a talented and powerful junior with good strength. But after refreshing his understanding of Li Yi several times, he gradually stopped looking at Li Yi with that view before. In addition, Li Yi helped him break through the bottleneck that had been stuck for more than 10 years in one go, and his condescending attitude towards Li Yi gradually turned into level gaze, and he was particularly enthusiastic. Although Li Yi had seen similar changes in various people a long time ago, he still felt quite strange when Lu Yanshen, who was the first in the heavenly rank and could fight against the strongest, was so enthusiastic. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart, thinking, sure enough, the best way to convince a strong man is to surpass the other party's cognitive limit. That's the best way. He knew that his current strength was at most not much different from Lu Yanshen before he advanced to the strongest. After all, he had never fought with Lu Yansheng in a real fight, so it was not easy to judge. What really made Lu Yansheng agree with Li Yi from the bottom of his heart was probably Li Yi's magical bodybuilding method, which helped Lu Yansheng break through to the strongest in one go. After everyone expressed their admiration for this Xiangang Yidi microforging method, the topic turned to Lu Yanshen. Zhao He smiled and said, Old Lu, how is it? What is the strongest characteristic that has been integrated after this breakthrough to the strongest? Lu Yansheng said, well, I need to test it to know the specific effect. The judgment based on my feelings is still vague. Li Yu was curious and asked, speaking of which, I need Deputy Director Zhao to explain. The three cores are integrated into one to form the strongest characteristic. Will the other branch characteristics that we have mastered in the past be integrated, eliminated, and simplified into one strongest characteristic? Would that be a loss? He remembered the few times he had seen Zhang Shengfang fight before, and the main characteristic he used was basically the cutting characteristic. He had never seen Zhang Shengfang use other characteristics. Zhao He said, in theory, when you reach the strongest stage, you will indeed passively give up some minor and less powerful characteristics in order to fully strengthen the main characteristics. However, in actual combat, you can also use minor characteristics, but it is definitely not as simple and direct as the main characteristics. Besides, you have reached the strongest level of combat, so you must use the most powerful characteristic normally, right? Although other characteristics still exist, but after all, their power is not equal. Using them will most likely be flaws. It is better to use them less or use them in special occasions. Li Yu understood. In other words, if you encounter a suitable occasion, it can also be used, but the effect will be much less, and it will not be able to produce a corresponding effect on the strongest level mecha. Zhao He nodded and said, yes, that's it. At this time, Mu Xianli interrupted, Li Yi, don't just chat here, you haven't finished the test yet. We Xianwei have been waiting for you for a long time. Li Yu turned his head and found that there were 4 or 5 Xianwei people who had not yet been tested. He immediately smiled and said, okay, come now. The tests of the remaining few people were also completed quickly. Among these Xianwei, Lin Wendong broke through to the 7th stage with the help of Li Yi, and officially became a high-level strong man, which is also a great joy. He already mastered a powerful Xianwei combination skill, and now he has entered the 7th stage. His strength has also soared. Li Yu estimated that Lin Wendong's wave will most likely reach the level of Mo's Hengkuang. It can be regarded as a powerful 7th stage. As for Mu Xianli, he is a little behind and still has not broken through the 6th stage. Chen Kaiongzi had been messed with by Li Yu for several days, but this time he did not participate in the test. When all the tests were completed, the other personnel left one after another, and only the 3 decision-makers were left. Lu Yansheng challenged Zhao He to fight. He laughed and said, Old Zhao, speaking of it, I was fooled by you and Lao He last time. How about we have a fight? When Lu Yansheng spoke, His eyes flashed with cunning. He has been holding back for a long time. Zhao He, this old guy, has suppressed him several times with his status as the strongest. Now that Lu Yansheng's strength has improved greatly, how can he not want to fight back? Hearing this, Li Yi, who was originally preparing to sort out the data and optimize the Xiangang Yiti tuning micro method, had his eyes light up and was looking forward to it. Speaking of which, he had never seen the battle between the strongest humans with his own eyes. Watching it up close like this would definitely give him another benefit. Zhao He was helpless. He originally wanted to seize the opportunity to have a face-to-face interview with Chen Kai-Ongzi to confirm her feelings for Li Yi and whether there was any possibility of matchmaking. Now that he was invited by Lu Yansheng to fight, he could only postpone this matter. Old Lu, it seems that your promotion to the strongest has given you a lot of confidence. Well, let me show you that there are differences between the strongest and the strongest. For a moment, the momentum of the two people rose, burning and abundant. Chapter 334, The Flood. Li Yu was indeed curious about who was stronger between Lu Yansheng and Zhao He. He left the field and made room. At the moment when Li Yu left the field, a sharp roar suddenly sounded. Swoosh! Under the vibration of the sound wave, the iron barrier of the training ground instantly rippled like huge water waves. Li Yu narrowed his eyes and saw that the two strong men in the field had already fought at a speed that could not be captured by the naked eye. Boom! 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 Every punch and every kick produced a huge momentum comparable to that of a C-class mecha fighting. Loud noises, shocks, high-speed airflows, mixed and entangled, tearing everything apart. With a rapid confrontation between the two, the collision force has reached the amazing power of a B-class 100-meter mecha collision. Li Yi's heart moved slightly, and he thought to himself, sure enough, it is not an exaggeration to say that the strongest can be comparable to a 100-meter mecha with their physical bodies. They haven't used any special powers yet, but they have already reached such a terrifying strength. If they add special features and combination skills, it will probably be enough to directly break the 100-meter mecha. I just don't know if they can break the A-level mecha with their physical bodies. Looking at how afraid Lao Zhao was of Heng Suo before, the top-level strongest should be able to match the destructive power of the high-level A-level. In other words, the strength span between the strongest is probably the same as the heavenly level, and there is also a huge class difference. Lao Zhang was able to fight against the SS-level mecha, which delayed a lot of time, so his strength should be good. According to Lao Zhao, his strength should be slightly inferior to Lao Zhang, or about the same. In other words, the current strongest human being should be Lin Jianlong, followed by Qin Longchuan or Duan Mushang. These three are in the same tier, and Lao Zhao and Lao Zhang should be considered in the same tier. After that, it's the other seven. They should only have one supreme characteristic, and most likely they won't take the path of three-core integration, but will directly rely on the seven supreme divinities of the earth to complete the supreme advancement. Old Lu is the first in the heavenly rank, and his ultimate move is very strong. I don't know what level he can reach, but the supreme achievement of three-core integration should not have the characteristics of the seven supreme divinities of the earth. The path of three-core integration is strong in the later stage, and it is strong in being able to accept the supreme divinity. In other words, Old Lu's current foundation should still be inferior to Lao Zhao. Whether he can beat Lao Zhao depends on his ultimate move and characteristics. Li Yu watched the battle for a while and quickly deduced the victory or defeat of the two. From the perspective of physical combat power, Lu Yansheng is actually not as good as Zhao He. Although Lu Yansheng is the first in the heavenly rank, he has also added the blessing of Li Yu's Xiangang Yiti Duanwei method, and has made good progress, but compared with the old masters, his physical body is indeed a little worse. Li Yu estimated that if there was no bodybuilding technique, Lu Yansheng would be defeated in less than 100 moves by Zhao He. Now it all depends on whether Lu Yansheng's characteristics and combination of skills can bring hope of a comeback. Just as he was thinking this, the physical test on the field seemed to end. Boom! With a loud noise, Lu Yansheng's body flew backwards. With a crash, Lu Yansheng's divinity was released directly, slowing his backward momentum. He stood still in the air and said with a smile, "Old Zhao, I didn't expect that. I underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be so powerful and hidden." Zhao He didn't fly up, but just stood steadily on the ground, and said with a smile, "I haven't used my full strength yet, Old Lu. Do you think that you can beat me just because you have advanced to the strongest level? That's not the case. I just want to test your weight." Since I can't beat you in the flesh, let me show you my strongest characteristics. With my heavenly skills, I will let you see if I can beat you." As he said that, Lu Yansheng clenched his fists, and the dark blue divinity outside his body began to gather. Soon, these dark blue divinities showed a blue flow state like seawater, flowing around Lu Yansheng. The blue color reflected the incandescent light of the training ground, showing the bright waves, like countless gems inlaid on it, shining with moving colors. Accompanied by the faint sound of waves, this move was not powerful, but the magical appearance was quite eye-catching. The first move is the Absolute Flood. Please taste it. As soon as the words fell, the divine wave surrounding Lu Yansheng tilted and poured out like a river in the sky. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the divine waves turned into a huge torrent with a diameter of dozens of meters, and swept towards Zhao He with unparalleled momentum and extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it was about to swallow Zhao He. At this time, a ring of orange-white flames flashed outside Zhao He's body, rising vertically outside his body like a pillar of light. Chi-chi-chi. The torrent collided with the flames, but without any pause, it directly swept Zhao He in. The ring-shaped shield seemed to have no effect at all. Lu Yansheng laughed loudly and said, "This is also a heavenly trick with special characteristics. Combined with my strongest characteristics, it has 9 bends and 18 turns, and 1 bend contains 80 waves. Old Zhao, if you can't break my trick, just stay in this absolute heaven flood." As soon as the voice fell, the absolute heaven flood swallowed Zhao He and then made a big circle, surrounding Lu Yansheng like a giant python. Hualala, hualala. In the flow of absolute heaven flood, the sound of water gurgling suddenly changed from the previous extremely fierce state to a quiet river. Li Yi saw this danger and slowness, and couldn't help but admire. What a precise divine control power. Li Yi didn't expect that Lu Yansheng was actually in the perfect state of both fighting skills and divine control, which was a little better than Zhao He's divine control state. Even Li Yi himself has only recently reached the perfect level of divine control. It can be seen that Lu Yansheng is worthy of the name of the first heaven of mankind, and his strength is indeed extraordinary. The various special vortices contained in the absolute heaven flood alone are not something that an ordinary supreme can easily escape. Either one has special characteristics like Li Yi, or one can break the law with force and use a stronger divine power to blast open the absolute heaven flood. In any case, Li Yi has gained a lot from seeing this move. While observing, suddenly, Ku. A series of muffled sounds were heard, and Lu Yansheng's divine waves suddenly swelled up and down, like a giant python swallowing a dragon, swelled passively, tossed around uncomfortably. Snap! 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 The divine waves kept hitting the ground, smashing cracks. Finally, when it swelled for the 17th time, the divine waves exploded, and a figure flew out from it. It was Zhao He. Although Zhao He successfully escaped from the absolute heaven flood, he looked quite embarrassed. The combat suit outside his body had long been tattered, and his breath was not stable. "Old Lu, your move is indeed good, but it's still a little short of being able to catch me." Zhao He narrowed his eyes and slowly calmed down. "Next, I'll show you my special move. You used a special move based on the strongest characteristics, so I'll also use a special move on you." Lu Yansheng smiled and said, "Old Zhao, I think you're not using the strongest special move, but you haven't figured it out yet, right?" Zhao He's face darkened when he heard this. Chapter 335 completed. Li Yi was watching from the sidelines, and was also surprised. Zhao He hadn't mastered the strongest combination skills yet? Was it because the strongest characteristics Zhao He had mastered were not coordinated enough? At this time, Zhao He said speechlessly, "Even if I don't have the strongest trick, my current trick is enough to beat you. Let's see." As he was speaking, Zhao He's divinity emerged from his body, and like waves, a stream of bright yellow flame fluid like magma flowed out. These streams of flame fluid, like magma but not magma, contained countless burning air. As soon as they emerged, Li Yi felt a scorching heat wave coming at him. He raised his hand and found that the hair on his arm was curling slightly. The outer layer of skin was actually slightly charred. Li Yi's heart trembled, and he immediately activated a divine shield to isolate this layer of heat. His position was not close, at least 100 meters away. At this distance, he could actually react to his body, which was strong enough to tear apart some ecless mechas with his hands. It can be seen how high the temperature of Zhao He's move was. It is even possible that the move was a combination of conceptual characteristics. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, the flame fluid outside Zhao He's body suddenly moved, and with a swinging of his hands, a slender fire dragon like a swimming dragon was formed, rushing towards Lu Yunsheng. My move is called the Burning Dragon, which can burn through everything, even space. It can only be considered a medium-level move in my combination skills. Old Lu, watch out, don't be unable to block my move. Before Zhao He's voice fell, the slender fire dragon had already pounced in front of Lu Yunsheng. Lu Yunsheng then stimulated the absolute heaven flood. Outside his body, countless divine waves quickly gathered and formed a huge torrent, colliding with the slender fire dragon. Obviously, although he has other combination skills, at this moment, this is the only move that can bring out his strongest characteristics at the moment. Boom! Unparalleled shock waves swept out from the center of the collision between the fire dragon and the red python, spreading in all directions. At the same time, under the fusion of water and fire, the entire huge training ground was covered with scorching steam. For a time, the training ground was filled with clouds and mist, filled with free divinity and amazing energy fluctuations. Even Li Yi felt a threat brought by the collision between the two at this moment. The divinity shield outside his body switched to absolute fluid, which dissolved the energy wave that was like a sea tide. Moreover, he looked far away and could not see what was happening in the center of the clouds. He could only rely on his strong perception of frequency to judge the fighting situation between the two in the field. As expected of the strongest, the increase in physical strength is far beyond the heavenly level. Li Yi was full of praise in his heart. In any case, judging from the movement of the battle, the pure physical strength of these two people, plus the superposition of characteristic combination skills, has already caught up with the destructive power of A-level mecha. Although it is still slightly inferior, it can be compared with the A-class mecha of around 145 meters. Old Zhao shouldn't have used his full strength yet, otherwise, with Old Zhao's ultimate physical combat power, plus the superposition of combination skills, he can at least be comparable to a 4th stage A-level mecha, and if my physical combat power is maximized, and various burst skills are superimposed to the limit, and then rely on combination skills based on special characteristics, I'm afraid that at most I can only break the defense of an ordinary B-level mecha. After all, although the burst skills have a high blessing on my physical combat power, increased reaction speed, and strength, but for breaking the defense of divine mecha, the effect is not very obvious. Among the moves I have mastered now, the only one that can have a strong defense. Breaking power on divine mechas is the concept characteristic combination skill. I haven't completely perfected this move yet. After it is perfected, there is hope that the defense breaking power will reach the top of B level, or even the threshold of A level mecha. At present, improving physical strength is not as good as the characteristic combination skills in improving the defense breaking power. On the contrary, the gap between my control of mechas and theirs is much smaller, Li Yi estimated in his mind, and he also had a relatively intuitive and clear judgment on the combat power of the two. He can control the high-level A-level mecha because his explosive skills improve his body's ability to withstand pressure. His actual physical foundation is still in the 6th level of the heavenly level, just a hair's breadth away from the 7th level. And this is because he used the Xiangang Yidi Duanwei method to improve. It seems that I am still far from being a top master, and I have to continue to work hard. When Li Yi was thinking in his heart, the clouds in front of him gradually dispersed. Zhao He and Lu Yunsheng each occupied a corner and confronted each other from a distance. Both of them were in good condition, but they didn't know who would win and who would lose after the big move just now. Li Yi observed the traces around him for a moment, and then he understood. It turned out that Zhao He still had a slight advantage just now. Lu Yunsheng didn't lose much, but he lost in the total amount of divinity. Li Yi immediately smiled and said, "Two big guys, do you want to fight again? If there are no other tricks, I will go back to sort out the various test data and summarize the gains." Lu Yunsheng's mouth twitched slightly. He did not underestimate Zhao He's strength. He invited him to fight because he had improved so much and was a little arrogant. Now that he was defeated by Zhao He's medium strength trick, he just felt ashamed. According to his original idea, he could at least force Zhao He to use his best trick. With a light cough, Lu Yunsheng said indifferently, "Old Zhao, it's really gratifying that there is no winner today. I just advanced to the strongest level and I have some insights that I haven't sorted out yet. I'm leaving first. See you later." After saying that, he flashed and left the training ground. Zhao He laughed dumbly, "You run fast, but it's a pity that even if you run faster, with Li Yi's insight, He can definitely see the outcome of our fight. It's just a cover-up. Li Yu also laughed and shouted from a distance, Commander Liu, keep working hard next time. I'm waiting for you to come back and take revenge on Deputy Director Zhao. The voice came out and accurately hit Lu Yansheng outside the training ground. Lu Yansheng was standing on a roof at this time, and stumbled when he heard the words. You too, wait? In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. This morning, Li Yu completely completed the first version of the Xiangang body forging method that can be promoted. With the cooperation of the AI designer, he designed the first version of the body forging auxiliary equipment. The strength of this version of the equipment is not high, and it is difficult to reproduce his 20-micron level forging force. At most, it can only produce a forging force with an accuracy of 30 mm. However, even so, its effect has been tested on a small scale and can be popularized to primary and secondary school students. Of course, before that, a meeting evaluation between the decision makers is required to determine the promotion plan of Li Yu's body forging method. Therefore, the first virtual online meeting after Li Yu entered the decision-making level will also be held today. And this is also the first time that Li Yu has met all the senior members of the human race, except Yan. Similarly, this is naturally also Li Yu's first welcome meeting to the decision-making level. Before the meeting started, Li Yu also compiled a document and uploaded it to the academic review website for review. Lin Jianlong, Qin Longchuan, and Duan Mushang, the three giants, naturally received the document at the same time. Chapter 336 Meeting. The file uploaded by Li Yu this time caused quite a stir in the hearts of Lin Jianlong and the other two. The first human exercise that could make the body stronger appeared in front of them unexpectedly. The three of them were guarding the Star Clan Stargate at this moment, guarding against the Star Clan enemies that might appear at any time. During this period of time, they would naturally keep checking the news from the rear and intelligence from all parties. At this moment, 3 top-level S-class mechas over 460 meters each guarded a corner of the Star Clan Stargate, like 3 giant peaks, standing majestically in the vacuum. The first person to notice Li Yu's file was Duan Mushang. As the final reviewer of the academic review website, he naturally has the overall control authority of the academic system. The title of the file was Preliminary Plan and Experimental Data on the Application of Xiangang Yidi Forging Micro Method in Mechanical Systems. Regarding this body forging method, they naturally received news from Zhao He a few days ago and knew the general situation of the matter. However, this is indeed the first time to see the detailed file written by the creator. At this moment, Duan Mushang looked expectantly and turned it over. This is the first human practice that can work independently of divinity. Let me see what the secret is. The first page was Li Yu's thank you speech to Chen Kai-ongzi. He said frankly that if it weren't for Chen Kai-ongzi's special physique, which allowed him to discover the strange reaction of subtle strength to the flesh, he would not have discovered the secret of this bodybuilding method. Therefore, Li Yu couldn't help but praise Chen Kai-ongzi and thanked her for her efforts. Duan Mushang nodded slightly when he saw this. He vaguely remembered that Chen Kai-ongzi was a disciple of Yan, with a very good-looking face, a good personality, and outstanding abilities. Interesting, Li Yu's document, which is enough to be passed down through the ages, will surely pass on the name of Chen Kai-ongzi in the future. This is indeed a good story. He turned to the second page. Pages 2 to 10 recorded in detail Chen Kai-ongzi's special physique and the special data obtained from Chen Kai-ongzi. Because Chen Kai-ongzi's cooperation was the highest and she participated the most throughout the process, there were quite a lot of data records about her. After reading the whole article, Duan Mushang showed some surprise in his eyes. Could Chen Kai-ongzi's physique be the legendary martial saint physique? Chen Liu Wangwushan, if I remember correctly, he also has a similar physique. Thinking of this, he immediately checked the population information and verified the genetic records. Soon, he got the answer. Sure enough, this Chen Kai-ongzi is the descendant of Chen Liu Wangwushan. After nearly 1,000 years, this blood gene has not been broken. Could it be that the legend that Chen Liu Wangwushan crossed a vacuum of the universe with his flesh before his death is true? Continuing to read, he looked at the series of bodybuilding movements proposed by Li Yu based on this, as well as the corresponding demonstration diagrams of tapping acupoints and techniques. When he read the subtle indicators of human body changes corresponding to various techniques, Duan Mushang was even more shocked. The content involved in these indicators has reached the cellular dimension and is very detailed. Through these data, Duan Mushang also outlined a picture in his mind of human cells being stimulated by this subtle force, thereby stimulating new potential. Seeing the depth, he couldn't help but clapping his hands in admiration. Genius, it's really a genius's idea. Even if there is a martial saint like Chen Kai-ongzi, without his exquisite techniques and complete ideas through body posture linkage, it is absolutely impossible to achieve such success. With this research and creation, human civilization is enough to take another big step forward. After reading the whole article, Duan Mushang felt that he was still not satisfied. As the most knowledgeable and academically capable scientific research expert in the human race, Duan Mushang looked at this research document like a pervert looking at a beauty. It was really like drinking nectar and listening to fairy music, which made him drunk and floating. Wonderful, really wonderful. My thinking was also shackled by the divine civilization. I didn't expect there was such a bodybuilding method. Inspired by this, Duan Mushang's inspiration in his brain burst out like a spark of fire. He felt that all the knowledge he had learned in the past had been examined from a new perspective. And with his inspiration bursting out, he soon thought of more ways to optimize bodybuilding and the means to improve Li Yi's rough auxiliary equipment. Immediately, he woke up his AI assistant and quickly wrote down the inspiration in his mind. Soon, a brand new mechanical forging equipment was designed by him. With this, Li Yi's Xiangang Yishan forging method should be able to bring out new potential. However, my design is not complete, and it needs to be tested and optimized. Although Duan Mushang has not met Li Yi yet, his evaluation and good impression of Li Yi have been full. He can't wait to show his perfect mechanical forging equipment. The virtual remote meeting of the decision-making level began. Li Yi entered the virtual conference room on time according to Zhao He's notification. Z. With a light sound, Li Yi's holographic projection body has been projected on a seat. He turned his head to observe the surroundings and found that the shape of this conference room was quite simple, with dark lacquered beams above his head and pointed roof tiles that shaded the light. Below was a dark oily wood long table, and he was sitting on a solemn carved taishi chair. The whole environment has the flavor of an ancient palace. He was at the back of the long table, facing the main seat. Several familiar faces were seen on both sides. Qin Longchuan sat on the main seat, and Lin Jianlong was on the left of Qin Longchuan. Lu Yancheng and Tan Yaozu sat next to Li Yi. When they saw him come in, Tan Yaozu nodded and smiled. Lu Yancheng came over familiarly and said with a smile, "Old Li, this is your first time here today. Don't be nervous. I'm here for anything. No, Chief Lu, you should call me by my name. I feel 100 years older when you call me Old Li." Lu Yancheng pulled his lips and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. You're my good brother." Tan Yaozu raised his eyebrows. Old Lu, who has a bad temper, is so easy to talk to in front of Li Yi. He keeps calling him good brother? What happened to these two people? It's really strange. After a while, several other powerful people arrived one after another. Li Yi looked around and found that except He Guangzi, the other person who should be Duan Mushang was not there. He also looked at the other powerful men who were unfamiliar to him and took note of their appearance. At this time, Tan Yaozu asked curiously, "Old Lu, aren't you and Old He both in the Moon Fortress? How come you are here but Old He is not?" Lu Yancheng said, "He will be here soon. He has been busy in the God-suppressing prison these days. I didn't expect that he hasn't caught Hangser's clone for 5 days." Lin Jianlong was also wondering, why was Duan Mushang late too? Chapter 337 Great Powers. Li Yu took the opportunity to recognize the faces of other strongest people. On Lin Jianlong's left was his deputy Xiao Pingchuan, the deputy captain of the Human Federation Mecha Corps, dressed in a silver-white Mecha combat suit, had a handsome face, fair skin, a strong body, and was serious. He was sitting straight next to Lin Jianlong, looking straight ahead. Li Yu didn't know much about Xiao Pingchuan, but he knew that he was not too old, about a few dozen years older than Zhang Shengfeng, about 130 years old, and was considered relatively young among the strongest. The mecha he was driving was a sea-boiling mecha of the Vulcan sequence. His most famous battle record was that during the high-level period of the Heavenly Rank, he used the Heavenly Rank trick to force back the only golden strongman of the two clan. Sitting opposite Xiao Pingchuan was Feng Hai, the chief commander of the Taishan base. Feng Hai was dressed in a light blue mecha suit, with a solid face, dark skin, bright eyes, and a height of 2 meters and 3, the tallest among the people present. He noticed Li Yi's observing eyes and grinned to show his friendliness. Feng Hai's appearance is very deceptive. He looks honest and simple. When he takes off his combat uniform, he looks like an old farmer in the field. But in fact, from what Li Yu knows, Feng Hai should be one of the strongest people with strong strategic ability. It is said that before Li Guangzi, Feng Hai was the standing war commander of mankind. At the time of the Xianheng Star War, when He Guangzi's command power was not yet stable, most large-scale wars were mainly commanded by Feng Hai. Of course, this Feng Hai is currently semi-retired, and only shows up in large-scale wars and important decisions. Usually, he mainly stays in the Longhu division of the Taishan division to explore and practice. As for other aspects, Li Yu doesn't know much for the time being. The first person sitting under Feng Hai is Jin Buai, the chief of the Changbei mountain base on Earth. Jin Buai has a rather old face, white hair and beard, a thin body, deep nasolabial folds on his cheeks, and slightly closed eyes, looking weak. Li Yu didn't know much about Jin Buai. He only knew that he was at least 270 or 280 years old, which meant that he should be of the same generation as Qin Longquan and Zhao He. But he became the strongest nearly 100 years later. He chose to receive the strongest divine radiation from the first level of the heavenly rank in the earth relics, and only relied on the Taibei divine rank to ascend to the strongest typical. Separated by Xiao Pingquan were two twin brothers, Ma Zhao and Ma Yu, who were sitting opposite each other. They were also the hidden strongest guards of the border star. When Liu Yansheng and He Guangzi could no longer suppress the situation, it was when these two took action. The last time the Star Clan launched a war, it was also by chance that these two were tracking the heritage relics and were not there for the time being. They were not too old. According to Li Yi's understanding, they should be several dozen years older than Xiao Pingquan, about 170 years old. However, these two advanced to the heavenly rank relatively early, and their faces were relatively young, looking only about 35 years old. Among them, Ma Zhao was on the left and Ma Yu was on the right. When Li Yu looked over, he was also a little surprised by the striking similarity of the two people's faces. It stands to reason that it is normal for twins to look alike. But the two are so old, and their experiences should be different, and their looks should be slightly different with their different experiences. But even with Li Yu's insight, he could only see the slight difference in the physical appearance of the two sides, which was outrageous. In a few minutes, Li Yu met these veteran strong men and greeted each other. In general, everyone seemed to be a little surprised at his entry into the decision-making level, but they were mostly friendly. While waiting for the last two, Duan Mushong and He Guangzi, to arrive, Ma Zhao, who was closer to Li Yi, also took the initiative to come over and chat with Li Yi. The chat was nothing more than praise for the Xiangang Yidi Duanwei method and several things in Li Yi's past. Although they were all things Li Yi was used to hearing, the person who spoke was a strong man after all, so Li Yi still benefited from it. Overall, Li Yi could clearly feel that Ma Zhao was more enthusiastic about him than Lao Lu, and he didn't know if there were other reasons. After chatting for a while, Ma Zhao said, Li Yi, I have read the general information about your Xiangang Yidi Duanwei method. It is very good. I admire some of your ideas very much. If there is a chance to do a research project together, I need your microcontrol ability to help. Li Yi smiled and said, Ma Zhenxiao, I don't know what research project it is. Ma Zhao smiled reservedly and said, this project is called the Gene Self-Iteration Project. You should know that we humans have mastered the technology of nanorbits, right? Li Yu nodded. Ma Zhao's eyes were burning, and he spoke eloquently. And my plan is to use nanorbits to improve the self-iteration ability of genes. Originally, I was not very optimistic about this project itself because it lacked sufficient feasibility. After all, human genes are far inferior to the mysterious and powerful divine genes that can give the human body powerful strength and characteristics. But aren't you curious, why are they both genes so different? Aren't you curious about the connection between the two? Can ordinary genes be transformed into divine genes through methods other than divinity? Li Yu was speechless. This guy is quite similar to Zhang Jingyu, whom he knew before. He is also obsessed with studying genes. He still remembers that Zhang Jingyu once tried to transplant the remnants of divine genes extracted from the fossils of ancient divine creatures, and his body had undergone considerable changes. It seems that Ma Zhao is also an expert. No wonder it is said that the strongest people of mankind, as long as they are a little older, are experts in various fields. Judging from Ma Zhao's appearance, he is most likely an expert in the field of genes. But he didn't know whether his expertise overlapped with Duan Mushong's. After thinking for a while, Li Yi smiled and said, "It does sound interesting. I can participate in it when I have the chance later," Ma Zhao said with a smile. "The opportunity will come soon. In a while, we will fight back against the Star Clan and wipe out the troubles of the Star Clan. At that time, we can use a large number of Star Clan to conduct experiments," Li Yi said thoughtfully. "Let's start with the Star Clan. There are many differences between the genes of the Star Clan and humans, right?" Ma Zhao said. "In fact, the genetic gap between humans and the Star Clan is less than you think. In terms of proportion, it is equivalent to the difference between humans and monkeys." As the two were talking, suddenly, Zizi. With a flash of the holographic projection light, He Guangzi and Duan Mushang appeared in their respective seats almost one after the other. Seeing this, Lin Jianlong smiled and said, "You two are really good at checking the time." "You are just on time," Duan Mushang laughed. "I am late this time for a reason. After seeing the data file uploaded by Li Yi, I was inspired and made a version of the mechanical device to optimize Li Yi's bodybuilding method. Li Yi, I have sent you the file. Take a look at it and let me appreciate it. If the principle is correct, my version of the mechanical device will definitely be of great help to everyone present." Everyone suddenly became curious. It has only been a few hours since Li Yi uploaded the detailed data file? Duan Mu, this guy, can come up with an optimization plan so quickly? Is it true that humans are about to usher in a huge explosion in physical strength? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 338 Precision. Li Yi quickly flipped through the documents. The first page he saw was a schematic diagram of the mechanical device he designed using AI. On the schematic diagram, various serial numbers and annotations were marked. These annotations were obviously written by Duan Mushang. It can be seen that the content of each annotation is very detailed, including the description of the corresponding function, as well as the description of replacement items and replacement designs, which made Li Yi, the original creator, feel refreshed. Starting from the second page, there was another mechanical device design that he had never seen before. The number of strokes in this design is at least dozens of times more than his design, and it is densely packed and incredibly complex. Even Li Yi's brain power felt a bit of a headache when seeing these things. But this is normal. His mechanical knowledge and corresponding skills can only be regarded as a medium to low level in his huge knowledge and skill system, not very advanced. He was able to make this design because he had a wide range of knowledge and knew a lot of things. Second, he was the first designer of this set of bodybuilding methods after all, and his understanding of the principles and operating procedures was incomparable to others. The third was naturally the assistance of the AI assistant. Therefore, when he first saw this complex design, he didn't understand it instantly, but he didn't feel embarrassed. Instead, he felt Duan Mushang's dedication and strength. While secretly admiring him, he also read carefully and checked the explanations in the following text. With his foundation, even if he didn't understand it at first glance, as he read the subsequent documents, it took him only 3 minutes to completely absorb the essence of the entire design. In addition to Li Yi, this document was given priority, and everyone else also got a copy. Therefore, in addition to Li Yi reading it carefully, everyone else did the same. However, the many experts present frowned and felt a bit of a headache when they saw Duan Mushang's complex design. As for Tan Yaozu and Lu Yanshen, they were still young, and although they also had their own areas of expertise, they were naturally inferior in this occasion. Only Li Guangzi had a higher academic attainment and read faster than some of the strongest people in the field. Duan Mushang scanned the entire audience, waiting for all the replies. Suddenly, he noticed that Li Yi had quickly finished reading the entire document, with a look of understanding. He was immediately moved and thought to himself, as expected of the first creator of this set of Xiangang Yidi Tuanwei method, he actually spent less than 3 minutes to finish reading this extremely complex design drawing. However, I wonder how much he has mastered the content of the design. Thinking of this, he asked, Li Yi, you have finished reading it. What do you think? Is it feasible? Li Yi looked up at Duan Mushang, who was sitting on the right side of Qin Longchuan. This strongest man, who is known as the first academic expert of mankind, has a thin body, slightly sunken eyes, and looks about 60 or 70 years old. His hair is thick and slightly white, and his skin is moist. He has a sense of deja vu of an ancient master with white hair and a youthful face. I have finished reading it. Commander Duanmu's design is indeed unique, and I admire it very much. Duanmu Shuang smiled and said, "Since you have finished reading it, why don't you explain it to your colleagues here? Otherwise, they have been reading it for so long and still haven't figured it out." Hiss. Lu Yancheng took a breath of cold air. This was a high-end game. Was this old man Duanmu Shuang trying to test Li Yi or show off his skills? He couldn't understand the document at all, and he was just pretending to read it. Therefore, when Duanmu Shuang started talking to Li Yi, he immediately paid attention to their communication. When Li Yi heard Lu Yancheng's movement, he glanced to the side and then smiled. "Of course, after reading the entire document, I also have some doubts, and I need Commander Duanmu to solve my doubts." Duanmu Shuang smiled lightly and said, "Just say it, no hurry. Let me tell you what I understand first, Commander Duanmu. If I am wrong, please correct me." Okay. Immediately, Li Yi coughed lightly, attracting everyone's attention, and then said, "From the document, it can be seen that Commander Duanmu's design ideas are completely different from the version I originally designed. My design is just a conventional mechanical device. Using conventional mechanics knowledge to simulate the effects of some subtle forces, it is equivalent to designing a force formula, calculating the various forces and speeds of my subtle forging method, and simulating my subtle force, then use this formula to design this mechanical device. Although the idea is very good, the disadvantage is also obvious, that is, the mechanical device, without anyone behind the control, even if it is AI, cannot achieve true subtle power. The current micro-precision is almost at its limit when it reaches 20 millimeters, and the degree I can achieve is basically 20 microns." Hearing this, a glimmer of light flashed in the eyes of Lin Jianlong and Qin Longchun at the same time. As if a trace of incredible color flashed across their eyes. The others seemed to lack sufficient understanding of the micro level. Although they thought it was amazing, they did not feel how amazing it was. After all, even the strongest cannot reach the perfect level or even higher fighting skills. Qin Longchun knocked on the table and said, "Li Yi, can you really achieve a micro-precision of 20 microns?" Duanmu Shuang said, "Yes, I have carefully studied the files that Li Yi sent before. If he can't achieve this precision, he can't get those experimental data." Lin Jianlong and Qin Longchun looked at each other, and both saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. This is a micro-precision of 20 microns. Is there really someone in this world who can be so talented to such an outrageous degree? The two did not speak, but they seemed to communicate a lot in their eyes. Duanmu Shuang said, "Ignore Lao Qin's interruption. Li Yi, you continue, everyone is listening." Li Yi nodded and continued, "And Commander Duanmu's design is a completely different idea. In simple terms, it is to use nano and micro robots, through a large model, to achieve highly coordinated cluster mobilization, so that these micro robots can achieve precise control of subtle forces. In theory and implementation difficulty, Commander Duanmu's design is undoubtedly easier." The second page of the document looks complicated. In fact, it is indeed very complicated. You don't have to look closely. The complex appearance and internal structure are just to make it easier to simulate the power effect of subtle forces when forging to the 36 Xiangang acupoints. Just focus on the function of this design drawing, that is, through this complex structure of micro-robot, my forging power can be fully simulated. Of course, the simulation accuracy, at present, mainly depends on whether the large model of the scheduling of this micro-robot can be verified. In this regard, I guess Commander Duanmu has prepared an AI and can demonstrate it in front of us at any time. Hearing this, Duanmu Shuang's eyes were full of surprise, and he applauded, "Excellent, wonderful, although I just skipped the explanation of the principle. I can see your amazing level of knowledge. However, I have a question. How did you know that I had prepared this AI?" Li Yi smiled and said, "No hurry. Before that, I also have a few questions to ask Commander Duanmu." Lu Yancheng sat aside, and when he saw the two academic masters speaking at a very fast speed, he showed an expression on his face as if he was looking at a god, and complained to He Guangzi beside him, "So I say, all of you who do academic research are perverts." Chapter 339 version. Duanmu Shuang said, "If you have any doubts, just ask directly." Li Yi smiled slightly, turned to page 4 of the document, and said, "Because Commander Duanmu's design ideas are different from mine, I focus on On the one hand, the success rate of the AI model's simulation of microscopic power, and on the other hand, whether the strength of these micrometer robots can meet my strength standards. As soon as these words came out, everyone's heart moved. Yes, even if the accuracy is up to standard, if the power is not strong enough, even if you can successfully hit the opponent, it may not be effective. Just like ants are born with millimeter-level strength, but even if a group of ants are added together, they may not be able to achieve the tyrannical power of a heavenly strong man. Microscopic power is just that the power can be accurately exerted at a microscopic scale, but it does not mean that the power is reduced. Liu continued, micro-robots are exquisite, but because they are too small, they do not have the tyrannical power of the heavenly rank and the strongest rank, even if they can be highly coordinated and integrated by the AI large model. I estimated the design data of Commander Duanmu and found that the power standard is still slightly insufficient. The limit effect can only exert less than 10% of my power. In this case, it is estimated that it can only be extended to audiences below the heavenly rank. I wonder if Commander Duanmu has a good solution. Everyone looked at Duanmu Shuang, and their eyes were different. Under the table, Lu Yansheng blinked, gave He Guangzi a look, and whispered, "Old He, these two people seem to be tit for tat. How could this be? Because this is a virtual online conference room, the essence is to connect people who are countless light years apart through quantum communicators, which consumes a lot of resources. Therefore, this virtual online conference room does not have the high-intensity rendering of the virtual ruins to show everyone's strength. Everyone here was participating in a virtual meeting in a normal state, so Lu Yansheng was not afraid of being overheard by the experts. He only needed to cover his mouth to prevent others from seeing the content of his whispers. He Guangzi glanced at Lu Yansheng and said, I can understand Director Duanmu. I guess he is probably excited to see the prey and wants to compete with Liu in academic level. On the other hand, he also wants to find a way to promote Liu's Xianggang Yidi Duanwei. As the saying goes, the truth becomes clearer the more it is debated, Lu Yansheng said thoughtfully. So, these two guys are not in conflict or quarrel. He Guangzi smiled faintly and said, don't worry about your ignorance of academics. Just watch their discussion carefully. They are both top geniuses in research. Even if you only hear a few words, it will be enough for your mediocre academic level to benefit for a long time. Lu Yansheng was despised by He Guangzi, but he was not unhappy. Instead, he smiled and said, that's good. I can benefit from it for a long time. How long can you, old He, benefit from it? One day is bullshit. Don't disturb me to listen to their discussion now, He Guangzi scolded Lu Yansheng lightly. As the two people below were talking, Duanmu Shuang also smiled lightly and said, well, you are worthy of being the first creator of the Xianggang Yi body strengthening micro method. You are really sharp and you immediately found the biggest problem with my design. There is a solution to this problem. For example, how about we use nanorobots with divine properties as a replacement? As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes moved, and they began to think deeply. Feng Hai said, Brother Duanmu, do you really have a solution? You know, the nanorobots we make ourselves cannot achieve such precision. And the nanorobots that the divine civilization already has are not enough, and they cannot be controlled by AI, right? Duanmu Shuang said, since I have designed it, I have naturally considered various feasibility, and as far as I know, there is a biological relic of the fourth era in the Star Clan, and there is such technology that can still produce divine nanorganisms, and the production device of this nanorganism can input the design drawings and manufacture nanorganisms according to the design drawings. Since it is made according to my design drawings, it is completely possible to use AI large models to make it uniformly. Feng Hai continued to ask, is the source of the news reliable? Duanmu Shuang said, reliable. As for who it comes from, you can ask Lao Lin. Everyone immediately looked at Lin Jianlong. Lin Jianlong nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, I can guarantee that Duanmu's source of information is accurate. Everyone's doubts were immediately relieved. In everyone's mind, the most trustworthy, the most powerful, and the one who knows the aliens best is still Lin Jianlong. Even Duanmu Shuang, who has mastered a variety of academic knowledge and is a great figure, is still far less trusted than Lin Jianlong. This is also the trust foundation that Lin Jianlong has built step by step over the past few hundred years with his amazing achievements. At this time, Liu asked, I have a question. Since this nanobiological factory exists, I have another question, that is If divine nanobiological organisms can be created, doesn't that mean that this relic can even create divinity? As long as a reasonable divine nanobiological organism is designed, and there is a corresponding design drawing, Duan Mushang nodded and said, "This is indeed possible, but why are you asking this?" Li Yi said thoughtfully, "I am just curious whether the Star Clan has made good use of this thing. If so, their high-level military source replenishment may be faster than we think. The function of this thing may be to replicate the top powerhouses one-to-one and restore the top powerhouses' bodies from the nano level." Everyone was slightly shocked. Li Yi's words were indeed worrying. They all looked at Lin Jianlong, wanting to confirm whether this possibility existed. If this is really possible, then the next Star Clan strategy battle may not be so easy to fight. Lin Jianlong pondered for a moment and said, "Li Yi's concern is not unreasonable. I will contact the undercover of the Star Clan to confirm this situation." Duan Mushang looked at Li Yi. "How is it? Do you have any other questions?" Li Yi said, "I have no questions. Commander Duanmu's plan is great. I think it's worth a try. If we get the remains of the manufacturing of this divine nanorganism, I think this device will burst out with huge potential and can rapidly increase the physical strength of all the senior officers present. Of course, this also includes me, because I haven't reached the nanometer level of precision yet." Duan Mushang was very satisfied with Li Yi's statement and smiled slightly. "Then my design drawing is preliminary finalized? Your Xianggang Yidi Duanwei method should not be revised again, right? If it is revised, I have to take the trouble to design another one, revised." Hearing this, Lu Yansheng immediately showed a strange look. He was the only one among the people present who had personally experienced this bodybuilding method. According to his previous understanding, the version given by Li Yi in the data file should only be the version for bodybuilding below the middle stage of the heavenly rank. However, the version he experienced from Li Yi at that time was very different from the version tested by others. The techniques and various details were subtly different. As a perfect level fighting master, Lu Yansheng naturally had this kind of vision. At this time, Lu Yansheng heard Li Yi say, "The version recorded in my file is a test version, which is used to test the effect below the middle stage of the heavenly rank." As for the stronger physical body, before Li Yi finished speaking, Lu Yansheng looked at Duan Mushang again, only to see that his face was a little stiff. Suddenly, Lu Yansheng couldn't help laughing out loud. This laugh attracted everyone's strange eyes. Chapter 340 New Law. Duan Mushang glared at Lu Yansheng. Everyone looked at Lu Yansheng with a smile. It is said that the gaze of a strong man has weight. Now, including Li Yi, they all looked at Lu Yansheng. Lu Yansheng was in trouble. His laughter stopped abruptly. In the quiet meeting room, Duan Mushang knocked on the table and said, "Lu Yansheng, you are laughing like this. Do you have any good ideas?" Lu Yansheng laughed awkwardly. No, brother Duanmu, you continue, I have no objection." Li Yi looked at Lu Yansheng in surprise. It was the first time he saw Lu Yansheng so afraid of someone. He was not afraid of Zhao He before. And he has been promoted to the strongest, and his strength has greatly improved. Logically speaking, even if he is not as good as Duan Mushang, it shouldn't be like this, right? It seems that Duan Mushang probably has some means to defeat Lu Yansheng. It may be his personality, characteristics, or tricks. At this time, Duan Mushang looked at Li Yi, rubbed his brows and said, "Since you, Li Yi, still have the final version of the Xianggang Yidi Tuanwei method, I will design a new one later. But you have to confirm that it will not be revised again, right?" Li Yi pondered and said, "It depends on the situation. Last time I saw Commander Lu promoted to the strongest, the process of his physical transformation touched me a little. I am studying how to apply the details of this transformation to the new bodybuilding method." New bodybuilding method. Everyone was obviously stunned, and they were all a little incredible when they caught this keyword. It is not enough for this kid to create one set, but he actually wants to create another different set? Duan Mushang's mouth twitched. "Li Yi, how different is this new bodybuilding method?" Li Yi thought for a moment and said, "There are quite a few. Although they are all self-training to stimulate the reconstruction of cells inside the human body, the first bodybuilding method. I will call it the Xianggang method. The main body is based on Chen Kai-ong's physical reaction, and then focuses on the 36 Xianggang acupoints, combined with various postures, coordinated and unified to achieve the target effect. In essence, it is a body improvement method designed using Chen Kai-ong's physique, In other words, this method is most effective for Chen Kai-ongzi, followed by me, and then others. Hearing this, everyone understood what Li Yu meant. Feng Hai said, "You mean, this bodybuilding method will be more effective for people with a physique similar to Chen Kai-ongzi's? On the contrary, if the physique is completely opposite, the effect will be worse." Li Yu nodded, "Yes, although my method can specifically smooth out some gaps, this is only limited to the situation where I take action. If it is replaced with a mechanical device, it will inevitably face the problem of the inability to unify the physique. Therefore, my bodybuilding method this time is another set of techniques imitated according to the transformation process of Commander Lu to become the strongest. Through my meticulous techniques, I can design a new bodybuilding method that simulates Commander Lu's transformation process." Duan Mushang understood. In other words, your set of techniques is applicable to people above the high level of the heavenly rank, and whose physique is similar to Lu Yansheng's. Li Yu said, "Yes, that's right." Hiss. Lu Yansheng took a deep breath and said with a grin, "You are worthy of being my good brother. You actually designed a bodybuilding method specifically for me. I am really touched." He Guangzi said speechlessly, "You have already transformed. How can a high imitation technique allow you to transform again? At most, it can only give you some blessings that have reached the limit of diminishing marginal utility." Lu Yansheng didn't care about Yi Guangzi's complaints. He smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. It's great that my good brother has this intention. Besides, who knows if Li Yu can create a set of techniques that can surpass natural transformation." Li Yu laughed. Although Lao Lu was a bit reckless, his temperament was still good. He said, "I can't say whether it can be surpassed, but the subsequent effect should be good, and it is more suitable for strong people above the high level of the heavenly rank." Duan Mushang raised his eyebrows and said, "So, you have already made some progress?" Li Yu nodded and said, "Almost. Give me another 3 or 4 days, and I should be able to complete this set. When it is completed, I will invite another group of heavenly rank to test it." With this subtle perception, although it is still far from the nanometer level, it is impossible to perfectly reproduce the details of the transformation in Lu Yansheng's body. But his brain power is so powerful at the moment, even more outrageous than supercomputers. Through micron-level details, combined with his own biological knowledge, he can reproduce it. At that time, these two sets of bodybuilding methods will work together, and his body will surely usher in a period of rapid growth. At this time, Feng Hai cast his eyes on He Guangzi and Tan Yaozhu, and said thoughtfully, "Li Yu, in this case, if Lao He and Lao Tan advance to the strongest, can you also use their transformation details to create a set of bodybuilding methods, even those who have transformed to the heavenly level? Can you do it?" Li Yu said, "I haven't tried it, but it's worth a try. If you know someone who is in the transformation stage recently, you can arrange to come to me. I will help them break through the bottleneck, and I can also collect more samples, improve, or create targeted bodybuilding methods that suit different physiques." Hearing this, everyone's eyes flashed like incandescent lamps. If it is really feasible, then Li Yu is not the strongest bottleneck-breaking machine in the human race? Lu Yansheng smiled and said, "Good brother, I would like to call you the strongest drill in the human race. You can break all bottlenecks with a bang." He Guangzi smiled and said, "That's a good name." Li Yu was speechless. "What the hell is a drill? Your whole family is a drill." Feng Hai also smiled and said, "In that case, I do have a student who is currently at the limit of the 3-element integration and may break through at any time. Do you want to try it?" As Feng Hai spoke, others also spoke one after another. "I also have a friend's daughter who is about to break through to the heavenly level recently. My wife is also, my son." At this time, Lin Jianlong tapped the table with his fingers. "It's almost done. Since you are asking Li Yi for help, even if he can collect data, he should show his appreciation instead of asking someone to help him for nothing, right?" "Yes, I recently got an S-level divine core, which can be used as a fee for Li Yi's help. I have a trick that I can share with Li Yi." Li Yi naturally would not refuse, and accepted them one by one, and agreed on a unified time to help. "I believe that with this wave of sample data, his body forging method will definitely become more powerful." After everyone finished their discussion, Lin Jianlong said, "Okay, let's stop talking about the topic for now. Every time we hold a decision-making meeting, we spend a lot of resources. Everyone cherishes the time. I believe everyone has a general understanding of Li Yi's Xiangang Yidi Tuan Yi method. Now, let's get into the topic of this meeting, the strategy of the Star Tribe." the acquisition of nano-factories, and the promotion of the bodybuilding method, everyone immediately became serious. Duan Mushuang actually had some questions to discuss with Li Yi, but he also knew that he had delayed the meeting for a long time, so he decided to wait until the meeting was over before chatting privately. Chapter 341 Small Star Gate. The meeting was quite boring. Li Yi listened in a disjointed way. There were many details discussed in it, and he was not uninterested in many of them, but he quickly understood the general situation by reading the information. Therefore, although he was listening to the speeches of several powerful people on the field, in fact, he only devoted a little attention to listening. The rest of his attention was focused on the new version of the bodybuilding method he had recently studied. By the way, during this period, he naturally absorbed ancient memory fragments, and the effect was not bad. In the past few days, the strength of the soul has increased slightly. He can no longer count the specific amount of surplus, but it is estimated that it should be able to increase to about 135. The divine genes have not increased much recently because he was distracted and still remained at 66. As for the technique of planting the void, it is still the same as before, and there is no progress for the time being. Of course, strictly speaking, there is a benefit. That is, the main consciousness becomes more refined and pure as it dives deeper into the subconscious. It was like clearing up a sewer that had been in disrepair for a long time. The purer the main consciousness, the faster his reaction speed would be. And this reaction speed was based on the reaction speed at the soul level. As long as his physical body could make progress, this reaction speed would further increase exponentially. It was much faster than the normal growth of ordinary strong men. He estimated that when his main consciousness was refined to absolute purity, it would be comparable to the level of mysterious thoughts. That is, when a thought leaves the physical body and touches the real world, it will trigger strange phenomena in the world and a violent rebound at the physical level. This level is probably comparable to the realm of demigods or even quasi-gods, he thought. At this moment, while he was taking stock in his mind, he suddenly heard Lin Jianlong say, "Okay, everyone, are you clear about your next tasks?" Yes, everyone answered in unison. I'll pick a few distracted people to confirm. As soon as these words came out, Li Yi noticed that several of the strongest people present had their eyes tightened. He suddenly laughed. It seemed that he was not the only one who felt that too many details were boring. They were all things that could be understood by reading the materials, so there was no need to explain them again in the meeting. However, Li Yi also understood that important things did need to be repeated. After all, one person is not another person's worm, and there are indeed cognitive differences in some things. In a meeting of top decision makers like this, when it comes to major decisions, it is normal to emphasize the propaganda tirelessly. Lin Jianlong looked at Feng Hai, and his eyes made his heart tremble. Feng Hai, tell me, what is your main task in the upcoming strategic battle, and what are the 3 major precautions I mentioned? Hearing this, Feng Hai breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. My task is to sneak into the main star of the Star Clan, Propo, also known as Changyang Star, before the general offensive of the strategic battle, launch a surprise attack, and destroy their Starlink communication system. Lin Jianlong nodded slightly. What about the precautions? 3 major precautions. First, they must be destroyed at the same time. As long as there is one omission, there will be major mistakes. Therefore, I must use my range move and aim in advance. Second, be sure to complete the deployment before the 3 quantum communications, and wait for the launch order. Third, shuttle to the heart of the Star Clan through the small star gate, and use the drifting box to drift for 3 months to reach Changyang Star. During this period, you cannot use divinity until before the launch, Feng Hai explained slowly. Lin Jianlong nodded and explained, the drifting boxes can be combined. By splicing the drifting boxes that Li Yi found before, we can use it to transport the strong, old Feng. I am confident in your strength and work style. This link of yours is the most critical in the outpost, and there can be no mistakes. 3 months, I'll trouble you to be patient, Feng Hai said with a smile. Don't worry. I have wanted to try this mission for a long time. It's so romantic to travel alone in a foreign land and drift in the vast sky, but I have a question. Is the small star gate really so powerful that it can take me to the heart of the Star Clan without damage? In fact, Li Yi also had doubts. He had seen the term small star gate in the 9th level confidential information. He only knew that it was kept by Duan Mushuang, but he didn't know what its specific function was. Moreover, when he heard Feng Hai's mission, he felt strange. Even if humans occupied the Star Clan's Stargate on the border star, they couldn't send Feng Hai to the other side of the Stargate to die, right? After all, each Stargate is generally heavily guarded. There would be some gold and silver warriors, and with the astonishing number of bronze warriors, they would be able to crush the strongest humans, right? Or, even if they could break through the siege, the Star Clan would definitely get the news, heavily guard the pass, and concentrate on exterminating them, right? Duan Mushong said, "Let me explain this point. The small Stargate is a quasi-god-level divine artifact that can only be produced in the First Era. It mainly possesses the divinity of time and space, and can directly use this item to travel through the time and space channel. However, to travel such a long light year, you must rely on the already formed Star Clan Stargate traffic network. Before you reach your destination, you can leave the time and space channel on your own halfway. As long as the error of the destination does not exceed 20,000 light seconds, there is no big problem. The drifting box is enough to drift to the destination. I have tested the small Stargate, and all functions are normal. It is precisely because we shot down this Star Clan Stargate that we have the opportunity to further use the small Stargate to go to the heartland of the Star Clan. So, Feng Hai, you must grasp this mission well." Feng Hai said, "I understand, leave it to me." Lin Jianlong continued to point people at this time. "Old Tan, do you know your own mission?" Tan Yaozu nodded and said, "My task is to add my blessing of cooperation to the small Stargate in the drifting box before the small Stargate sets off, to ensure that the small Stargate remains in the best condition." Lin Jianlong nodded slowly. "The effect of your blessing of cooperation is very strong. I need you to prepare this move at least 3 days in advance to maximize the effect of this move. Can you do it?" 3 days, Tan Yaozu frowned slightly. "I'm afraid I can't do this with my current strength," Lin Jianlong said with a smile. "You can't do it now, but what if Li Yi helps you to improve your body and help you advance?" Tan Yaozu pondered and said, "I'm still a step short of that. I haven't figured out the trick to combining the 3 cores into one. I'm afraid that even if Li Yi helps me to improve my body, I may not be able to break through the bottleneck." Lin Jianlong looked at Lu Yansheng. "Old Lu, did you find the trick when you broke through?" Lu Yansheng said, "Yes. Although it was only a little bit, I did find the right direction. Li Yi's body improvement accelerated my process, allowing me to achieve it in one go, which would have taken me at least 2 or 3 years." Li Yi said, "I can try. I just had some inspiration. It may work, but I need the help of a divine item." Chapter 342 Plan. "What divine item do you want to borrow?" Lin Jianlong asked. "I want to borrow another treasure of Commander Duanmu, the nano-sensor," Li Yi said. "This is a divine item that assists in subtle perception that he found after he reached the 9th level of authority and read various intelligence and records of past ruins excavations. By stimulating divinity, the user can have real-time nano-vision. This item was discovered nearly 100 years ago. It is a divine item from the 4th era. When Li Yi saw it listed in the archives, he wanted it very much. It's a pity that this item had long been collected by Duan Mushong, and he couldn't get it even if he had many military exploits. After all, this thing is too rare. In hundreds of years of human excavation history, only such a thing has been found." Lin Jianlong looked at Duan Mushong. Duan Mushong blinked, and his old face rarely smiled awkwardly. "Is there such a thing? I seem to have not seen this for a long time." Lin Jianlong shook his head and laughed. "You must have too many treasures in your collection. Even if you want to find time to study, you are too distracted. In my opinion, all kinds of rare treasures you have collected over the past few hundred years should be taken out for circulation, so as not to be covered with dust in your hands." Duan Mushong smiled and said, "The large collection can only be said to be my great contribution in the past. I can get the biggest share every time I explore the ruins. What's more, I don't just put them there, but will carry out research plans and continue to study. Once something is studied, it will definitely be beneficial to all mankind. If it is not studied, it is probably because the people in my team have determined that this thing is of no use for the time being." Li Yi said, "With our current microscopic observation technology, pure nanosensors are definitely useless. However, I don't need to use this thing for research. I just need to use it to let me adapt to deeper microscopic vision and advance. With this early adaptation, I can be sure to strengthen Brother Tan's body, help his flesh promote his soul, and increase the probability of the 3 cores merging into one." Duan Mushuang was looking for his treasured inventory records on the light screen at this time, and he found the record of the nano-sensor. There really is such a thing, since it is you, Li Yi, who wants it, then there is no need to borrow it. I will give it to you directly, let alone, just based on your Xiangang Yiti tuning micro method. All human beings owe you. Duan Mushuang patted his chest and said with great confidence. Qin Longchuan saw this and said with a smile, Duan Mu, you, a miser, are so generous for once. In that case, why don't you give Li Yi a few more treasures from your collection? Lu Yansheng's eyes lit up, and he immediately cheered. That's right, Li Yi has made such great achievements, but it's not right for everyone to get them for free. He is only 20 years old, and he has done such a great thing. The big guys present here, shouldn't you give Li Yi something in addition to asking him to help? Shouldn't you take out your own collections and let Li Yi choose? If not, that would be too unkind. As he spoke, Lu Yansheng glanced at He Guangzi and Tan Yaozu, motioning them to speak together. He Guangzi understood and said with a smile, I am a generation younger than you masters. And I have already taught Li Yi the 2 unique skills I have learned. I wonder if you masters have anything else to give? If not, it is really not justified, Tan Yaozu said. To thank Li Yi, I decided to give Li Yi my 10 granddaughters. I will match him with the one he wants. If he wants all of them, I will try my best to persuade him. Lu Yansheng scolded, Old Tan, you old thing, you are too shameless. People help you to strengthen your body, and you want to be Li Yi's uncle? How can you do things like this? Tan Yaozu said with a smile. In addition to my granddaughter as a dowry, I will also give him 10% of the shares of Wulian Pharmaceutical Company, 20% of the dividend shares of Zhang's Mining, and 25% of the shares of Xiangshi Machinery Industry. How do you think? Lu Yansheng nodded and said, that's pretty good. It's reasonable to have a dowry of this level, Qin Longchuan said speechlessly. You 3 are enough. Let's stop here. What should be given will not be missing. Don't worry, it has been prepared long ago, Lin Jianlong joked. Li Yi will also be our pillar in the future. Now we are rewarding him. In the future, maybe Li Yi will leak something, which will be enough for us old guys to send. Now we will definitely send all the good things that can be sent. You guys can rest assured. Lu Yansheng calmed down. Duan Mushuang said, Li Yi, if you have other things in mind, just ask. I dare not boast about other things. When it comes to collection, no one here can compare. As for this nano-sensor, I have arranged for interstellar delivery to deliver it to you quickly. Remember to sign for it, Tan Yaozu said. How about I take it with me? Duan Mushuang patted his head. Look at me, I actually forgot that you, Tan Yaozu, are going to go there too. Okay, I'll intercept him and you can come to me later to get it. In a few words, they discussed the place where the things should go. On the contrary, no one asked Li Yi how sure he was. Unconsciously, everyone had highly recognized Li Yi's innovative ability. Lin Jianlong once again called people, confirmed the details of each person's mission, and discussed and explained again. Li Yi was a little more concerned at this time, and he basically understood the arrangement of the entire strategy battle. The first priority of this strategy battle is to destroy the communication center of the Star Clan. That is, the destruction operation of the Chang'an Star Chain system carried out by Feng Hai. It is still the same idea as the previous battle. Cutting off their communication can cut off their command and disrupt their deployment. In this way, even if there are more strong people hiding in the heart of the Star Clan, they will not be able to form an effective joint force. The second priority is to encircle and annihilate the key strong people. This aspect will be led by Lin Jianlong. As the owner of the cosmic light characteristics, he has unparalleled small team high-speed mobility. The range of hundreds of light seconds is a battlefield that he can cross in an instant, which is very terrifying. The third priority is the strategy of the nano-ruins. As long as we can quickly grasp the nano-relics at the beginning of the war and quickly manufacture a batch of bodybuilding strengthening devices, we can equip the entire human army with them, greatly improving the war endurance and explosive power of the human mecha division. This step is also very important, and it is the core of the human explosion to kill most of the Star Tribe resistance. After all, even if the strongest are fierce, once the Star Tribe forms a small-scale team to counterattack, it will be very difficult. In this regard, Duan Mushuang will lead. Li Yi, Tan Yaozu, and Lu Yansheng are also assigned to this war sequence. The fourth priority is to capture the Star Tribe's ancestral star, Chang'an Star. Chang'an Star has the longest-standing civilization heritage of the Star Tribe. Only by occupying it can we completely avoid the long-term guerrilla warfare of the Star Tribe. This meeting lasted for a day and a night, and there were many discussions on various details. When the meeting was almost over, Lin Jianlong knocked on the table and smiled. After the meeting, hold a ceremony to confer titles, and broadcast it live throughout the Federation. Hearing this, everyone turned their eyes to Li Yi. Chapter 343 Military Rank. Since we are going to confer a rank, what rank should we confer? This is the question that everyone is most concerned about. Although everyone present is a member of the decision-making level, there are naturally differences in the right to speak. For example, although Lin Jianlong is not sitting in the main seat, his right to speak is undoubtedly the highest among all the people present. Even Qin Longquan is slightly inferior. Lin Jianlong smiled slightly. Is there any doubt about this? With Li Yi's current achievements, strength, and merits, a rank of lieutenant general should not be excessive, right? Hiss. Everyone was slightly shocked. This is not a question of whether it is excessive or not. Rather, is it so high all at once? Li Yi has not received a proper military rank before, right? Although according to authority, his level is not low, at least he can get the position of captain. But the rank of general has no more than 15 people in the entire Federation so far. You know, those sitting in this decision-making meeting are not all the top strong men of mankind. There are also some top-level warriors who have hidden missions, or who are practicing, or who never participate in decision-making meetings and only participate in the most intense wars. There are also some top-level warriors who only appear at the moment of life and death of mankind. Although these people do not exceed the number of 2 palms, they are also the foundation of mankind. Among these people, only a few have been awarded the rank of general. Of course, this is also related to the fact that they do not often show up and must hide. But the rank of general is indeed the highest public rank of mankind. In the cognition of ordinary humans, the value of the rank of general is much higher than that of the position in the decision-making level. Not too much, not too much. Duan Mushuang smiled and suppressed the breathing of everyone. Then, congratulations, congratulations, this is going to break history, promoted to federal general at the age of 20, right? The brothers Ma Zhao and Ma Yu followed suit and congratulated. These two rarely spoke before, but Li Yi looked at them a few more times. It's just that the rank of general. To be honest, Li Yi also felt a little unreal. The others also applauded. Congratulations, Xiao Pingchuan was concise. From now on, you will officially be the pillar of mankind, the purple gold beam that spans the stars. He Guangzi had a faint smile on his face, and there was a look of relief in his eyes. He was the first person among the people present to discover Li Yi's talent and give him support and help. Although he knew that the help he gave was not much, he was the first to discover it, wasn't he? Now that he saw Lin Jianlong officially mentioning this matter, he naturally couldn't hide his joy. Others also said their congratulations one after another, each one was different. Li Yi thanked them one by one. Lu Yansheng had an expression of honor on his face. My good brother, at the age of 20, he was awarded the rank of general. There has never been anyone before, and there will never be anyone after. Although he also had the rank of general, it was nearly 100 years old. This rank is a real public announcement. It is another level of significance compared to the previous people pulling Li Yi into the decision-making level. One is hidden, and the other is public, which is completely different. The people present, the strongest who were established at the same time as the Federation, have been hiding behind the scenes for various reasons to avoid being hunted down by the two clans at that time. In the past 100 years, the strength of the strongest has gradually increased, but in addition to publicly granting generals, they have also retained their early habits and have been in a covert style to prevent assassinations from the Two Clan and the Star Clan. Because they are hidden enough, they have become a very strong deterrent weapon. The Star Clan and the Two Clan never dared to launch a super war before they could ensure the traces of these strongest. Only a few times, the contradictions intensified to the limit, and then the conflict of the strongest level broke out. Once such a conflict broke out, it must naturally end with the fall of one of the strongest, or being captured. Otherwise, with the destructive power of the strongest level, as long as they go crazy and roam around, they are definitely a sort of Damocles hidden in the dark, which can harvest a large number of middle and lower level strongmen at any time, causing a fierce defeat on the local front. In the past 200 or 300 years, The most intense and deadly war was the Border Star War that happened not long ago. Although the intensity of the Xianheng Star War was not low, there were not many strong people participating in it. Lin Jianlong was already the strongest on the battlefield at that time. It was because of him that the Xianheng Star War ended so quickly. Since everyone has no objection, let's broadcast the awarding of titles live first. Then arrange a national ceremony in 3 weeks, and the location will be on Earth. Spread the news more, so that everyone knows that we have gained a pillar, Lin Jianlong said with a smile. In addition, it must be grand. Everyone present must be present at the ceremony in 3 weeks. If you can't make it, you can use holographic projection. By the way, it can also paralyze the Star Clan and make them think that we have given up the attack, relax military discipline, and relaxed enjoyment. At that time, it is time for us to use thundering means. Although Li Yi didn't understand why it had to be done in 2 times, he changed his mind and thought that if the live broadcast was rushed now, it was estimated that the public would not know much. 1 live broadcast warm-up and 1 formal ceremony, it is reasonable. As for Lao Tan, you should still go to the Moon Fortress and meet Li Yi as planned, and strive to break through to the strongest in 1 fell swoop. Lao Yi, haven't you dealt with Heng Suer's matter yet? He Guangzi shook his head. Heng Suer's clone is too good at hiding. I can only try to gradually compress his escape area. This kid can hide in our power grid, absorb energy at any time, and escape at any time. I don't know how long it will take. Can the power grid be cut off? No. If the power grid is cut off, many monitoring networks will have problems. We will be blind first, and we can't catch him even if it is cut off. Unless we locate him first. Lin Jianlong knocked on the table and said, Lao Qin, Heng Suer's strength should not be underestimated. How about you take action? Qin Longchuan shrugged and said, okay, I'll put out the fire. Since the matter has been explained, let's start the live broadcast now. Lin Jianlong smiled slightly. Let's give all the people a surprise. After the live broadcast was explained, the AI assistant quickly took care of it. As an AI assistant for decision makers, its computing power and intelligence are naturally very considerate and reliable. In just a few minutes, the senior officials of administrative agencies across the Federation received the news. At the same time, media organizations and virtual reality network companies across the Xingyu Federation published the headlines as soon as they received the news. Live broadcast preview of the awarding of the highest military rank. It will start in half an hour. The strongest genius in human history is born. Watch his rise, the youngest federal general. Unprecedented live broadcast of awarding ranks. In the blink of an eye, all kinds of headlines and news spread across the human territory like a tide. Chapter 344 Live Broadcast. Yaochi ship. Zayadong ran towards the training ground quickly. Fuck. Has everyone heard about it? In the gravity training ground, everyone had already stopped moving and was looking at their communicators. Zayadong, you received the news too late. Sun Zuxiu complained directly. I told you to skip training every day. What have you been doing recently? And you only know the news now. Zayadong was embarrassed. How could I skip training? I just took a rest, he said insincerely. Sun Duxiu was too lazy to ask him what he was doing, just said, come and see. There are 3 minutes left. Li Yi's live broadcast of the awarding ceremony will begin. Here is a seat for you. Old son, you are so considerate. Don't say these things. You are too disgusting. This is what Zuo Ying wanted to keep. Zayadong sat down directly and looked around. Where's pharmacist Wan? Tan Horn said. It seems that she just contacted for permission to open the big screen live broadcast. She said that she was going to book the whole place so that our whole class could watch the most luxurious live broadcast screen. I envy you. Rich women are so generous, Sun Zuxiu said with a smile. It depends on who it is for. If it was you, Zayadong, I don't think pharmacist Wan would bother to do this. It doesn't matter. A real man never cares about rich women. Zayadong patted Sun Duxiu on the shoulder and said, look at you. You have nothing, but you are still very happy. Sun Duxiu was speechless. You and I are almost the same. Let's not talk about the two families, Zayadong said with a smile. Now everyone is a mid-level evolver. Old son, if you don't work hard, I will catch up with you, Sun Duxiu said disdainfully. You can catch up slowly. I will soon reach the level of a mid-level leader. When I am sent out, I will also do a great job. Although I am far behind Li Yi, At least we can't let our strength lag behind. In the same group, the few of them chatted and chatted, which was quite pleasant. Although there was pressure, they didn't want to embarrass Li Yi. But Li Yi's achievements at this moment have reached a stage that they could not even imagine in their dreams, and the pressure is not as great as before. That's great, we can be considered classmates of the Federal General, right? When will you have the ability to move up to the top? You can say that again. If you don't have the ability, it's embarrassing to say it. Among the crowd, only Sun Duxiu still had the ambition and was still thinking about rushing to the heavenly position. As for Yao Shiwen, she has good talent and her family resources are in place. She is another person who has the hope of impacting the heavenly position. The tentative goals of the others are to move up to the top. If you can touch the threshold of the top before the age of 35, it will be considered a success. At this time, the super light curtain projection equipment that Yao Shiwen bought with millions of star coins has been transported here by a three-wheeled car. Click. The skylight of the training ground opened, and Yao Shiwen jumped off a wheeled car. Crash. The flames rushed up from behind her, turned into a firebird, wrapped her up, and slowly fell down. Xiaodong exclaimed, "I really envy Yao Shiwen's divine control talent." This statement was unanimously agreed by several other people. MV. Yao Shiwen smiled at everyone after landing on the ground, and then clapped his hands. In an instant, the light in the training ground suddenly dimmed. Suddenly, a huge light curtain was projected over the training ground, which was large enough to accommodate dozens of D-class mechas. Then, Li Yi's face appeared on the light curtain with great clarity. The detailed picture quality, the sound like the tide, and the wide screen like the sky curtain. Everyone was shocked by Yao Shiwen's generosity. At this time, the live broadcast light curtain was quickly playing Li Yi's life story and various publicly available data silhouettes. There was also a sweet AI voice explaining Li Yi's story. This super genius who walked into the deep space fleet from the tree shed area on Mars rose like a meteor, but will shine forever in the sky of human history like a star. Moreover, he will definitely be the brightest star. At the age of 18, he was born in poverty. Because of an accidental opportunity, he signed up for the Yaoqi ship's Mecha training class. He reached the peak when he debuted. With his amazing fighting talent, he won the first place in fault points and the first place in actual combat in the Yaoqi ship's newcomer competition with an unparalleled attitude. With this excellent result, he entered the special class. In just 3 months, he grew from a trainee to staff officer at the ruins site. He led the team to crack the Divine Light Bomb and provided solid assistance for mankind to bring a controllable Divine Light Bomb model. Not long after his 19th birthday, he participated in the Youth Mecha competition. With his unparalleled wisdom, he found the heritage relics that had been hidden for many years and had never appeared in the world. It provided a solid foundation for mankind to crack a large amount of text, knowledge, and technology of the divine civilization. On the way to the Earth ruins, he teamed up with Lieutenant General He to secretly arrange luring missions and cracked a large number of cult bases, and as a middle-level evolver, he successfully killed a heavenly rank and captured another heavenly rank. Double kill. With his first amazing record, he became the strongest middle-level evolver unprecedented in history. I believe that this record will probably be unlikely to be broken by anyone in the years to come. Afterwards, he participated in cracking the Star Mang ruins in the Earth ruins and deciphered the ancient characters of the divine civilization for the first time in human history. When the Star Clan invaded, he bravely took the lead and led the team to complete the important task of attacking this issue, killing hundreds of heavenly rank powerhouses from the Star Clan and the Two Clan. Do you think that's the end? In fact, our super genius has made another amazing creation recently. This is a genius invention. Forgive me for not being able to reveal too much for the time being due to confidentiality rules. I can only tell you that this super genius Li Yi has become a top heavenly rank powerhouse. This meteor-like evolution speed, I can only marvel at it, and there seems to be nothing else to say. Now, the live broadcast ceremony is about to begin. Please look at the light curtain clips. Here are Li Yi's combat data since he grew up. Every frame is his amazing combat. I dare to guarantee that the powerful enemy that Li Yi defeated is definitely one of the top 3 Cheyenne Wei strongmen in our federation. With a passionate explanation of the AI lady, accompanied by the immersive mecha battlefield on the light curtain page, the sound and light effects were almost a 1-to-1 replica, and everyone was shocked. Because they saw that among the powerful enemies defeated by Li Yi, many were actually mechas of the middle and high stages of the Cheyenne Wei. This ferocious mecha face and the extremely powerful alien god sequence body are undoubtedly supergiants over 220 meters. Fuck, Xingyu said in shock. Opponents over 260 meters were killed by him. My goodness, even the fraction is higher than my Mingfang Mecha. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 345. Everyone. Don't be silly, there's another big guy over there, an S-class mecha above the heavenly position. Everyone looked over and found that there were indeed several S-class mechas among Li Yi's opponents' mechas. Although most of the S-class mechas were just auxiliary. But this undoubtedly confirmed the doubt hidden in everyone's heart. Li Yi got the rank of lieutenant general at this age. Would his strength be slightly insufficient? But these battle silhouettes undoubtedly easily shattered everyone's doubts. Not only can he kill multiple high-level A-class mechas, but he can also participate in the S-class battlefield. Even if he is just an auxiliary, it is enough to show that Li Yi's strength is definitely worthy of this rank. Coupled with these achievements, the actual battle records all show that this is what Li Yi deserves. From now on, when we see Li Yi, we have to call him General, Xingyu said enviously. Yao Shiwan smiled and said, it doesn't matter what we call. What matters is that we have all fought together, right? Indeed, we are also the first witnesses of Li Yi's rise. When we grow old, we must brag to our descendants that I used to be Li Yi's best friend. Tan Horn rarely showed his pride. He has recently fallen in love, and in his heart he already has someone he wants to fight for his whole life. Fuck, Instructor Chen is also here. I don't know if she was projected as a hologram or came in person. Zhang Zuyan was surprised. The so-called Instructor Chen is naturally Chen Kai-ongzi. And that Mo Chen-long, Tan Yiren. Thinking back then, Tan Yiren was so arrogant, now don't we have to respectfully call our brother Yi General, see him accept the title. Everyone tried to find someone familiar on the live broadcast interface. On the ruins of the earth. Ningfiao and the others are still in the same team. Except for Lin Xiu working alone and Li Yi flying alone, the previous batch of them were basically there, challenging the Xingmeng division from time to time. They also participated in the Border Star Wars. Although they could not play a decisive role in the battlefield at that time, they also benefited a lot and made progress. Among them, Ningfiao had reached the extreme of the three elements integration. When she was almost ready, she could break through to the heavenly rank. At this moment, they also gathered together to watch the live broadcast. It's really awesome. I told you that Li Yi's departure this time will be like a dragon entering the sea and soaring into the sky. Liang Zishan drank a sip of wine, watched the live broadcast, and said leisurely. Zhang Chaoquan shook his head. I haven't heard of it. It's a pity that my evolution speed is still too slow and I can't keep up with the pace of the Thai. Ningfiao watched the live broadcast without saying a word. Tan Hao toasted Liang Zishan and said, I heard you say it, let's go. Ningfiao, when did you become a heavenly rank? Li Yi, who is on par with you at the time, is already a general. The only one who dared to talk to Ningfiao like this was Su Weilu. Since she was invaded by the mysterious thoughts and removed, she has become much bolder. Originally, she was quite quiet, but after getting to know everyone felt that she was very aggressive. Ningfiao, I'm definitely ahead of you, Su Weilu. I've almost coordinated the 3-in-1. In 2 days, I will apply to go to the southern ruins of the Heritage Ruins to challenge the Infinite Spire and the Characteristic Spire. At that time, I will definitely enter the heavenly position in one fell swoop. As the first discoverers of the Heritage Ruins, they naturally know the functions of the ruins that are still kept secret, and they also know that there can be effective ways to improve the efficiency of the 3-in-1 and accelerate the entry into the heavenly position. Su Weilu snorted, wait, I'm almost there too, don't let me catch up. Lunar Fortress. Lin Lulu, who was carried by Chen Tongchen, finally passed the 3-day inspection of the Lunar Fortress. Although they are from the Earth, theoretically they don't need to go through various complicated inspections. But considering that the war has not been over for a long time, the inspections in the past few days are still much stricter. Li Lulu was walking halfway, looking at the light curtains flashing everywhere in the Lunar Fortress, and her eyes couldn't help but widen. Brother is so powerful that he is already a general of the Federation, She grew up on Earth after all. Even if she is not an evolver, she naturally knows the value of the rank of general. Chen Tongchen smiled and said, I just received the news. It turns out that he has made such great contributions in the Battle of the Border Star. This is a great honor for our kindling base, Li Lulu said. Alice, it's a pity that I didn't see my brother's glorious moment with my own eyes. But he is living so well now, I am relieved. In the live broadcast, the introduction of Li Yi has been played. Then Qin Longchuan, the governor of the Xingyu Federation, appeared in front of the camera in a formal dress. He was tall and burly, with surging muscles and a solemn face. He stood in the center of the venue with full majesty. Next to the camera, Lin Jianlong, Duan Mushong and other powerful people who often show their faces also stood on one side. The other powerful people, except for the brothers Ma Zhao and Ma Yu, were semi-hidden personnel and did not show up this time. Those who Li Yi had met at the decision-making meeting were already present. In addition, many famous high-level and middle-level masters appeared directly, and those far away were projected to the scene. In just half an hour, this live broadcast ceremony seemed to be planned in advance and was very grand. Immediately afterwards, the venue played the Xingyu Federation's national anthem. During the song, the flag rose. Li Yi stepped forward, bowed his head and accepted Qin Longchuan's military rank for him. The military rank has 3 horizontal and 2 stars, with thumbnail icons such as rice flowers, wheat ears, sickles, steam engines, internal combustion engines, nuclear engines, mechas, and stargates. The elements are very complete, representing the process of mankind from farming to the universe. After Qin Longchuan finished wearing it, he reached out and patted Li Yi on the shoulder without speaking. Li Yi turned around and saluted to the camera. Then it was an oath. This ceremony was more serious, so there was no need to give a personal speech. After the oath, Qin Longchuan took the stage again, and seriously counted the hardships of mankind in the past, and then looked forward to the future. After a narration, the live broadcast of the awarding ceremony ended. To be honest, Li Yi, who was present at the event, did not have many real feelings. Because he was filming the live broadcast with holographic projection throughout the whole process, even Qin Longchuan patting him on the shoulder was just a virtual feeling. But when he turned on the communicator, he found that all the friends he had added in the past had sent text messages of blessings and congratulations. It was not until this moment that he had a vague sense of reality. Yes, it turned out that he had reached this level unknowingly. When I signed up from Mars, I would never have thought that it would only be a short year and a half. It should be a few days before Brother Tan comes. During this period, I should focus on practicing the seating and optimizing the bodybuilding method. I hope to complete this latest version of the bodybuilding method before Brother Tan arrives. Before that, I have to make adjustments based on the feedback from the instructors, although using Chen Kai-Ongzi may make the details of the bodybuilding method similar to the first version of the Xiangang method. But because the ideas this time are completely different, I am not afraid of these. The main thing is to complete the main body. The subsequent details can be adjusted. Thinking of this, he immediately called Chen Kai-Ongzi's contact information. Instructor, can I borrow your body for a while? Chen Kai-Ongzi was taking off her dress in her room at this time, standing in front of the mirror, preparing to take a shower, and was stunned when she heard this. Chapter 346 Encounter. Can you say it again? Chen Kai-Ongzi said slowly. Li Yi felt a little strange when listening to Chen Kai-Ongzi's subtle tone. Haha, I want to ask the instructor to help me optimize the latest version of the bodybuilding method, so that's it. Chen Kai-Ongzi breathed a sigh of relief for some reason, and at the same time, she felt a strange sense of loss in her heart. What am I looking forward to? She snorted, the latest version of the bodybuilding method. You don't need me anymore? Why are you looking for me, instructor? Don't worry, Li Yi hurriedly said, although the reference is the sharp change process of Laolu, only you can make these changes present a perfect reaction. I mainly refer to the instructor's main reaction, and some details will be modified after I meet Brother Tan later. Just let me help like this? I don't have any benefits. Li Yi was stunned. It was the first time he heard Chen Kai-Ongzi ask for benefits. Haha, what does the instructor want? This question also stumped Chen Kai-Ongzi. Well, it seems that there is nothing I can ask you to give me right away. Let's put it this way. When I remember something and need your help, you must not refuse. Of course, if you have something serious to do at that time, I will definitely not bother you, of course, even if there is no such thing. I can help you at any time. Instructor, at any time. Well, that's more like it. Okay, wait until I take a shower, change clothes, and then go to see you. Take a shower. Li Yu's eyes moved. Yes, I have been accompanying you to improve your bodybuilding method for the past few days, and I hurriedly participated in your live broadcast of the inauguration ceremony. I stood for more than an hour in vain. I finally have free time, so of course I have to take a shower. Why, don't you think I have become smelly after so many days? Li Yu smiled and said, I don't think so. The instructor is always fragrant at any time. Stinky chatterbox, hang up. Okay, instructor, you go take a shower. I just want to take a break first. You can take your time. There is no rush. After chatting, the two hung up. Li Yu touched his chin, secretly wondering, Instructor, you didn't seem to care how much you sweat before, right? That's strange. Besides, with the physique of a heavenly rank strong man, a little sweat stain can be washed away by a divine stimulation. Shaking his head, Li Yu stopped thinking about it anyway because it had nothing to do with him. Ding dong, ding dong. There was a sound at the door. Are you here? How come so soon? Li Yu turned over in the bedroom. He simply changed his clothes and glanced at the surveillance. Is it Li Lulu? This girl finally arrived safely. He immediately opened the door with the remote control. A person flashed and appeared at the door. Next to Chen Tongchen was a cute little girl with big eyes and white skin. It was Li Lulu. She was wearing the Kinling base's close-fitting uniform, standing there with a slender figure, as light as a bird. Seeing Li Yi, she smiled sweetly. Brother, you finally have time to see me. Li Yi smiled and said, it's not that I'm free, I'm just not busy. Come in, Chen Zhuxiao, I have clicked to complete the task, and I'll give you 500 military merits as a gift. Thank you for taking care of Lulu. Chen Tongchen's eyes lit up. Thank you so much, General Li. It turns out that people like General Li are at a different level. Thumbs up. Li Yu laughed. I was afraid that Chen Zhuxiao would think it was too little. Chen Tongchen smiled and said, I have no chance to fight, and I don't have much military merit. This wave is enough for me to enjoy the good life for a long time. Li Yu nodded. Chen Zhuxiao has come from afar. Why don't you come in and sit down and have a sip of hot tea before leaving? Chen Tongchen glanced at the two of them, and said with a smile, my task has been completed, so I won't bother you to reunite. General Li, remember to visit Kinling base more often if you have the chance in the future. Don't forget, then I'll trouble Chen Zhuxiao. See you later. General Li will not see you off. You can chat with Li Lulu first. This girl has been thinking about you for a long time. The two exchanged pleasantries, and Li Yi immediately sent Chen Tongchen away. After sending Chen Tongchen away, Li Lulu's state became more natural. Brother, it's great to see you. Have you been studying the study materials I left for you these days? Of course I have. How is your study going? Li Lulu pouted and said, I know almost everything. It's not difficult. Li Yu laughed. I didn't expect you to be a genius girl. Of course not. I'm just a little smarter than ordinary people. As she said that, Li Lulu suddenly stared at Li Yu and said, Brother, the black line on your head has penetrated deeper, and the color has become darker, which makes me very uncomfortable. Li Yu frowned slightly. He naturally remembered this thing. Didn't you say before that it would take a long time to get deeper? I don't know, maybe it has something to do with changes in the external environment, or changes in my brother himself. Can you tell how long it will take to penetrate into the core? From now on, it was originally 2 or 3 years, but now it may be 1 or 2 years. Li Yu nodded slightly. Okay, don't worry about this for now. You said before that something bad might happen on Earth, so did you feel anything special before and after you left Earth? I can't feel it, but overall, I feel a little more comfortable. There is something on Earth that makes me uncomfortable. Li Yu's eyes moved slightly. When did I feel this thing? It's a coincidence that it was when my brother left the Kinling base and went to the Kunlun base. Since those few days, I have gradually felt it. But my ability is limited, so I didn't feel it. Li Lulu shook her head. Okay, then it seems that you have to speed up your pace to become an evolver starting today. In the next 2 days, I will take the time to teach you some fighting skills to train your body, so that when you receive divine radiation, the effect will be better. Okay, thank you for your hard work, brother. Li Lulu smiled sweetly. As he spoke, Li Yu had already brought Li Lulu to the living room. Brother, this villa is really big. You are so amazing that you can even have such a big villa on the moon. It's okay, you sit down first, I want to take a look. Okay, I'll go change my clothes first, and you can walk around by yourself. Okay, brother. Li Lulu was obviously more lively than when she was on Earth, and quickly walked up the stairs. Li Yu changed into training clothes. Originally, he wanted to rest for a while, but since he was delayed by Chen Tongjin, he might as well exercise and wait for Chen Kaiyongzi to arrive. Coincidentally, there was a ding-dong sound at the door. Li Yu immediately walked over to open the door. Chen Kaiyongzi stepped in familiarly. Instructor, you're really quick, just taking a quick shower. Do you really think I'm some sluggish woman who takes me so long to take a shower? Chen Kaiyongzi's nose twitched as she spoke. Hey, why do you smell like a stranger here, and a woman? Chapter 347 Unity. The smell of a stranger? Isn't this Li Lulu? Li Yu was stunned for a moment. He suddenly didn't know how to explain Li Lulu's existence to Chen Kaiyongzi. Say this is his sister? No, others may not know his information and files, but as an instructor who taught Li Yu in all aspects of training a long time ago, how could Chen Kaiyongzi not know about his situation? How could there be any biological sister? How could it be that she was a foster sister recognized on Earth? But why would you recognize a foster sister out of thin air? Li Yu's thoughts turned around, and he always felt that it was difficult to explain. Thinking for a moment, in Chen Kaiyongzi's strange eyes, he could only say, oh, that is my foster sister, gentle sister. Chen Kaiyongzi looked at Li Yu suspiciously. The foster brother and foster sister you recognized on Mars, this is recorded in Li Yu's file. Before he was 18 years old, he had become sworn brothers with a pair of Quan family brothers and sisters who were in trouble because they had shared hardships. Later, the struggle between the brothers and sisters' families ended, and the two returned to the family. Originally, the two siblings wanted to take Li Yu away from the tree shed area on Mars and receive higher education from the Quan clan. Unfortunately, the two siblings had little say at the time, and Li Yu had a conflict with a deacon who came to pick him up, so the matter was left unresolved. However, according to the records in the archives, Li Yu and the siblings had a good relationship. If Li Yu becomes rich, the siblings will come back to them, which is reasonable. Chen Kaiyongzi's mind flashed for a moment, and she realized that the smells that appeared here belonged to a man and a woman respectively, which was reasonable. Li Yu wanted to shake his head to deny it, but by chance, Li Lulu just came down the stairs, and the sound of clattering attracted Chen Kaiyongzi's attention. She turned her head and saw a pair of slender legs emerging from the entrance. Although she has a good figure, she is just a non-evolved person. However, there are other women who have entered Li Yu's home. This kid is so defenseless. Even if she is a stepsister, it's not appropriate, Chen Kaiyongzi thought expressionlessly. Seeing this, Li Yu said, Instructor, let me introduce you. This is Li Lulu, my sister. Lulu, come here. This is Instructor Chen. Call someone, Li Lulu said obediently. Hello, Sister Chen? Sister Chen? Chen Kaiyongzi's eyes twitched. Well, when did the little friend come? I forgot the time. I never want to check the time at my brother's house. The air here is too sweet. Li Yu's mouth twitched. Why did he feel that Li Lulu suddenly started to chat? Lulu, find a place to rest for a while. I will go to training with the instructor later. Oh, since my brother's busy, I won't disturb you, Li Lulu said obediently. As she spoke, a trace of envy flashed across her eyes, and she turned and walked away. Li Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Li Lulu only chatted a little, not too much, and did not mean to make trouble on purpose. Although Li Yu had been very cooperative since he met Li Lulu's obedience at this moment still made Li Yu feel very comfortable. However, Li Lulu was obedient, but Chen Kaiyongzi looked a little uneasy. Li Yu patted Chen Kaiyongzi on the shoulder. Instructor, let's go to the training ground. Oh, okay, let's go. On the training ground. Before I cooperate with you in research, I think it is necessary to train with you. Chen Kaiyongzi, who had changed into training clothes, suddenly flashed a dangerous look in her eyes. Li Yu had no choice but to accompany her. Okay, instructor, I'll also loosen up my muscles and bones, then you have to be careful. As she said that, the divinity outside Chen Kaiyongzi's body burst out violently, forming a colorful tiger, covering her body. This tiger was not dozens of meters tall like the last time, but just an ordinary normal size. Moreover, it was very solid. The shiny fur, the piercing eyes, and the thick neck were all clearly visible. Li Yi's heart moved. Did the instructor break through under the stimulation of some strange emotions? She herself used the technique of refining divine will by using the technique of emptiness. Combined with the breakthrough, the tiger that was a little vague before was completely materialized. Its amazingness already has some of the style of the fifth era of pinching the virtual into the real. Instructor, has your tiger strike martial arts reached the perfect level? Yes, come on. Li Yi was also curious, and immediately suppressed his own combat power, and the overall level was at the third stage of the heavenly level, which was slightly lower than Chen Kai-Ongzi's level. In this way, as long as he did not use explosive skills, but only used conventional combat skills and tiger strike martial arts, the combat power of both sides would be in a relatively balanced state. He could see that Chen Kai-Ongzi seemed to want to beat him at this moment. Li Yi roughly knew what was going on, and he also wanted Chen Kai-Ongzi to give it a try, wanting to see her full strength. Immediately, he began to rush forward, and his body suddenly turned into a white line, whoosh. On this side, Chen Kai-Ongzi had already moved. The two figures collided rapidly. Bang! There was a violent explosion. In the air, countless air currents exploded. Chen Kai-Ongzi was throwing punches like crazy. Hit, hit, hit. Snap, snap, snap. Li Yi was completely defensive, letting Chen Kai-Ongzi hide him like raindrops. With his current reaction speed, he could easily resolve Chen Kai-Ongzi's attacks. However, since Chen Kai-Ongzi activated the extremely solid tiger, Li Yi found that he couldn't beat Chen Kai-Ongzi with pure strength. Each of her punches contained some kind of strange and incomparable power that was difficult to resolve. Li Yi was surprised and used his powerful fighting skills to fight Chen Kai-Ongzi, and only then did he resolve Chen Kai-Ongzi's strange power. For some reason, Chen Kai-Ongzi was particularly energetic in fighting today, and the more she fought, the stronger she became. Li Yi, why are you still holding back? Give me more power, more power. However, when Chen Kai-Ongzi said so, Li Yi always maintained his current level of strength and did not increase his strength. Boom. During the fight, Chen Kai-Ongzi's punch seemed to have broken through some restrictions and hit Li Yi's arm, and Li Yi actually felt a stabbing pain. He immediately retreated, stimulating the growth characteristics in his body to repair muscle damage. Is this the effect of a kind of virtual technique? Adding the power of the clone to the main body, Li Yi's eyes flashed with a strange color. He didn't expect that a kind of virtual technique could be used in this way. Chen Kai-Ongzi looked at her fist and was stunned for a moment. She couldn't figure out how she had just thrown that punch. Li Yi, what did you just say, instructor? Didn't you accidentally use the power of your clone with that punch just now? Li Yi saw it very accurately. The power at that moment was definitely not caused by ordinary skills. The problem is that my clone is not with me now, Chen Kai-Ongzi frowned. Li Yi was also stunned for a moment, but at that moment just now, except for your adding the power of the clone, it seems that there is no other skill to achieve it? Could it be the resonance of the will of God? Maybe. Never mind, forget it, let's stop here for today. Start your bodybuilding method research plan. I am also satisfied, Chen Kai-Ongzi panted slightly. Li Yi smiled and said, why, instructor, don't you have any questions you want to ask me? For example, what's the situation with my god sister? Chapter 348 Slap. Chen Kai-Ongzi blushed immediately. Bullshit, why do I ask so many questions? Is that so? So you idiot, do you still want to optimize your new version of the bodybuilding method? Yes, yes, yes. Li Yi finally stopped teasing Chen Kai-Ongzi. The redness on Chen Kai-Ongzi's face had long disappeared. With her current control, she could easily control the changes in the blood and muscles on her face. A mere blush, as long as she realized it, it could be transformed in an instant. When she turned around and looked at Li Yi, she already had an expressionless look. Come on, let me see what your new bodybuilding method is like. Li Yi smiled and said, this time, I plan to use a more frequent and dense method to forge the instructor's body. A more frequent and dense method. Chen Kai-Ongzi was slightly stunned. How do you do it? Li Yi explained, the Xiangang method is mainly your own activities in conjunction with my acupoint forging. The main function is to stimulate the changes in the flesh and blood of the main acupoints of the human body, the potential of cells, and achieve the effect of bodybuilding. This method is essentially derived from your special physique, right? Chen Kai-Ongzi nodded. And my new method is based on the specific changes in Liu Yansheng's body when he was promoted to the strongest. Therefore, this method, it is definitely not enough to just stimulate the changes in your flesh and blood. I need to use faster and more powerful forging movements to simulate a strongest transformation, Li Yu explained. Chen Kaiyongzi quickly understood what Li Yu meant and asked in surprise, "Can this simulate the strongest transformation?" Li Yu shook his head. "I can only simulate changes at the micron level. If I want to go deeper into changes at the nanometer level, I have to use nano-sensors. Can it work with the help of sensors?" Chen Kaiyongzi still felt incredible. "You know, the strongest transformation involves so many aspects. Most likely, the genes, cells, muscle tissues, and organs of the whole body will undergo drastic changes, right? Such drastic changes can be simulated by just punching and forging quickly? This is much more complicated and difficult than the method of stimulating her flesh and blood to achieve the corresponding effect, right? It can be said that a single move affects the whole body." Li Yu shook his head. "Of course it's not that simple. Even with nano-sensors, my limit is probably just a slight increase from 20 microns to 10 microns. After all, the strength of my own soul can only support me to this level. Every time the microscopic precision is improved, the strength requirement for the soul is exponentially magnified. So, this time I just created a micron-level transformation technique. Moreover, although it is a high-frequency method, it is also dense and gentle enough. It will not cause such a big change in the body right away, and this method, if used by others, I'm afraid nothing can be tested." Chen Kaiyongzi suddenly realized, "I see, because it is a micron-level change, you need to test a method that is not affected by nano-changes, right? And for this, only I can be your tester, not even Liu Yansheng before he was promoted to the strongest." "Yes, that's it. It sounds interesting. Let's get started quickly." Chen Kaiyongzi was eager to try it. He jumped up, threw off the outer protective suit, revealing a white undershirt. "The lining I'm wearing this time is made of a lot of money, so don't damage it." "Well, then why don't you put on the protective suit?" "Of course not. Wouldn't that affect your test data?" "Okay, that seems to make sense. Then I won't be polite." "Instructor, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up." On the training ground, Li Yu walked in front of Chen Kaiyongzi and looked down at her face. He calculated the strength data in his mind, woke up the AI assistant to make a record, and then punched quickly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This time, Li Yu's technique was much faster, and even the afterimage could not be seen clearly between his shots, and it fell on Chen Kaiyongzi like raindrops. His high-frequency punches were fast, but when they fell on Chen Kaiyongzi, there was a moment of stopping and retracting the force, weakening the force. Moreover, in addition to punching, there are various small techniques such as finger strikes, palm rubbing, finger kneading, etc., like a massage master, accurately penetrating into Chen Kaiyongzi's body. Every strand of the turned into micron-level subtle power, stimulating every cell. Chen Kaiyongzi felt the various strange forces entering her body, and her body also showed various subtle reactions like stress. These reactions were also sensed and recorded by Li Yu at high speed. After completing a round, he quickly analyzed the data and wrote the data into AI, allowing AI to assist in analysis and improve efficiency. Then he quickly adjusted and tried new subtle techniques. "Are you done this round?" "Almost." "No, I need to rest for a while. You keep slapping me like this. Although I don't need to move, the reaction inside my body is too intense and I'm really tired." "Instructor, give me a little more time. This time the technique will take a little longer." "Damn, how can you take so long?" "There's nothing I can do, instructor. The strongest transformation is no trivial matter. It will definitely take a longer time." "Okay, do it if you want. Just be careful not to damage my lining again." "Don't worry, instructor. I used soft power this time and rarely used hard power." "You don't have to worry. Soft power? Why do I feel numb?" "I also added some acupuncture power and explosive spiral power. These are the techniques I learned in the Inheritance Ruins and the Enlightenment Mountain. I thought they were just conventional techniques before, but now it seems that they may also be bodybuilding techniques developed in the 5th and 1st eras." "Oh, there is such a thing." "Yes, maybe the bodybuilding method existed before, but the inheritance is not as solid as that of the divine civilization. It is just a niche school, or it has not yet formed a complete bodybuilding system." "That's interesting. No more words. I'm going to increase my strength." "Instructor, please bear with it." "You have to bear with it again." "It's okay, instructor. I will pay attention to the strength this time. Don't worry." Okay, you pay attention, In a blink of an eye, time passed as Li Yi and Chen Kai-ongzi delved deeply into the study, practiced the seeding of the void, and absorbed the dark memory fragments. 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Li Yi kept receiving the radiation of the S-level divine nucleus at all times, and soon condensed the 67th and 68th divine genes. These two happened to be the divine genes of the wind god and the fire god sequence, with the characteristics of tornado and burning. They were all characteristics he had before, but the quality was higher. As for why he had these S-level divine nuclei, it was naturally one of the benefits after he was promoted to general. In addition, he also earned S-level divine cores from Zhang Shengfang and Zhao He, so he had enough of the 3 sequences of wind, fire, and thunder. In addition, he also had new gains in dark memory fragments. Chapter 349. When he absorbed another dark memory fragment, in addition to the continuous growth of the remaining soul, reaching a level close to 140 pieces, he also obtained a part of the memory from Cathu's perspective. The timeline of this part of the memory should be after Cathu discovered the code of the gods controlling the armored man, and preached the reaction of the gods everywhere, and was finally killed by the gods. In this memory, Cathu deliberately left Yi alone, and left a time-related secret treasure on the planet number 5570. This secret treasure is suspected to be part of the secret book of years. But it is not the time book, but another copy. The reason why Li Yi can judge this thing is naturally because of another copy of the time book branch book in his hand. Although he has not been able to crack the code on the time book at present, he can also rely on his own perfect level deciphering skills to identify the secret treasure left by Cathu, which is likely to be from the same source as the time book. In the memory, the other contents are not of much use to Li Yi. Only the memory content involving the deciphering of some ancient characters is helpful to him. After all, many of Cathu's memory fragments are about deciphering various kinds of knowledge. As for the various life details related to her, at most, they can help Li Yi improve his understanding of the culture and customs of the Second Era, but they have not helped him improve other skills or knowledge. Fortunately, the deciphering memories of these ancient characters are also of enough benefit to him. Obviously, Cathu's deciphering skills are at least perfect, or even above perfect. Li Yi is the first person who has broken through to such a level in skills other than fighting and divine control. As long as he continues to absorb Cathu's memories, Li Yi has the confidence to push his deciphering skills up. At present, he has only one skill that has reached perfection. The rest of the perfections are only tracking, deciphering, and divine control. On the contrary, there are countless proficient ones. During this period, he also made a match for the planet numbered 5570, based on the corresponding star map found in the Second Era. If the calculation is correct, this planet numbered 5570 should be in the Hengyu division of the Earth. According to Zhao He, this Hengyu subdivision is the time relic. It is one of the 3 time-related relics that humans must crack in the future 100-year plan. He recorded all these intelligence and related clues, and prepared to focus on finding them when he participated in the exploration later. These days, when he rested, he would use his own space and gravity characteristics to activate the gauze-like time branch from time to time, trying to understand the time and space characteristics beyond its password, and familiar with its effect of locking the enemy. Therefore, in 3 days, he maintained a good cooperative research relationship with Chen Kai-ongzi. He studied Chen Kai-ongzi, and Chen Kai-ongzi was studied by him, which was very harmonious. He himself also maintained continuous progress, and the benefits were considerable. Today is the day when Tanyeozu arrived at the Moon Fortress. Because the Earth Star Gate has been closed, Tanyeozu needs to pass through the Neptune Star Gate to reach the Moon Fortress, so it took more than 3 days. Unless it is a major emergency war moment, the Earth Star Gate is generally closed. This time it is just back to the original state, which is normal. Naturally, there is another person who came secretly with Tanyeozu. That was the governor of the Federation, Qin Longchuan. His primary purpose for coming here this time was to finish the matter of Heng Suo's clone's escape. In addition, he also wanted to take a look at Zhang Shengfang's situation. Heng Suo's matter has developed to the point where it has risen from a minor disease to a level that is likely to cause endless harm. A top-level strongest person, even if he is controlled and severely weakened, without a mecha, can still escape for so long, which shows how strong his destructive power is. Qin Longquan has mastered 3 kinds of the strongest divinity and 7 moves of the strongest tricks, and his strength is at the top 2 levels of humans. Moreover, he has also mastered the divine characteristics of the Thor sequence, and he also understands Hangsuo's abilities, which is just right to suppress his opponent. Although He Guangzi is also a Thor sequence, he is ultimately inferior to him in terms of realm. When he encountered Hangsuo's level of ability to use characteristics, he still leaked his fear and made several mistakes, and had to introduce Qin Longquan to help. On the helipad of the Lunar Fortress, Li Yu received the news in advance and came to meet him with Liu Yansheng and Zhao He. As for He Guangzi, he was still fighting in this Henshin prison and couldn't get out. On the tarmac, a starship slowly landed. Click. 2 tall figures slowly walked out of the starship door. This is the nanosensor collected by Duanmu. Take it. An object like a glass's lens was thrown over lightly. Li Yu took it with surprise. What he didn't expect was that the person who personally carried the nanosensor was not Tang Yaozu, but Qin Longquan. Take a look at this function and see if it is what you need. Qin Longquan's voice was deep and his tone was gentle. He had a square face and thick eyebrows, and had the temperament of a mature old handsome man. The temperament of the strong man was very obvious. In addition to his tall stature and bright eyes, he stood there, which was completely different from the aura in a live broadcast ceremony. This was the first time Li Yu had a close contact with a federal governor. In the previous experiences, he was in a hurry to fight and didn't meet in person. The subsequent meetings were just holographic virtual projections, which were still quite different from reality. He took the eye lens, put it on his right eye, and then stimulated the divinity and penetrated it. Zizzy, zizzy. The scene in Li Yu's right eye suddenly changed. In the air, countless millimeter-sized dust became visible to the naked eye, extremely clear. His field of vision did not shrink, but a high-definition image information stream was input into his mind. Sure enough, the information of this nanosensor seems to be inputting visual signals through the eyeballs, but in fact it is directly input into the visual nerves of the brain. Li Yu was delighted. This is exactly the function he wants. If it is only input into the frame, then in essence, this nanosensor is no different from carrying a mobile microscope. Millimeter-level images are not a big burden. Try to increase the divinity and activate it to the image information level of 1 micron precision. He moved his mind and continued to increase the amount of divinity. This time, his head shook slightly, and there was a sense of squeezing, but it was still bearable. He increased the activation amount again, pulling the precision of 1 micron to the level of 100 nanometers. At the same time, the brain superlifting technique and the state of the self-consciousness were activated to improve the brain's tolerance. Buzz. Obviously, in his mind, a precise image information with a precision of 100 nanometers soon emerged. The amount of information in this level of image information is already very large. Even at this moment, his brain felt a little painful. Several people observed Li Yi's state, and were somewhat curious about what Li Yi saw. However, seeing his face turn slightly green, they were all shocked. Liu Yansheng reminded him in a deep voice, "Good brother, take it easy. The huge amount of information in the microscopic scene with unchanged field of view is not so easy to bear." Chapter 353 Links. Liu Yansheng's words naturally made sense. Taking all the 100 nanometer level information within the field of vision into the mind, the amount of information is equivalent to recording all the resolution points in a football field-sized ultra-high-definition giant screen in the mind. Even a large-scale AI computing system will take a while to quickly translate. Even Zhao He, who has a brain at the level of the strongest, dare not easily complete this operation. Even if Li Yi is strong, it is a bit embarrassing to place such a big aim right from the start, right? Zhao He frowned slightly, fearing that Li Yi would encounter any accidents. However, the changes in Li Yi next made everyone's eyes change slightly. Li Yi's blue face faded slightly, and he slowly opened his eyes. Liu Yansheng asked quickly, "Brother, have you successfully received all the image information of this 100 nanometer level, equivalent to 0.1 micron?" Li Yu nodded and said, "Yes, the effect is not bad. Next, I just need to adapt to it, and I can use the new version of the bodybuilding method I figured out before. This set, considering that it is based on Brother Lu's strongest transformation, and you are majoring in the Sea King sequence, the characteristics of the changes in your body are mostly closely related to this divinity, so I will call it the Sea King transformation method. Before strengthening Brother Tan's body, I will make real-time adjustments to Brother Tan based on the previously recorded data to match Brother Tan's most likely strongest transformation. Zhao He pondered and said, interesting, that is to say, you have already summarized the commonalities and individual differences of the strongest transformation? For example, which ones are unified in the strongest transformation, and which ones are related to personal physique, or to the main divinity? Li Yu nodded and said, it's not that I have completely summarized it, but I have made a reasonable calculation. Qin Longchuan listened with great interest. How did you deduce it without a reference? Isn't Lao Lu your only sample? Li Yu smiled slightly. Strictly speaking, my samples are all the strongest people in our human race. On the one hand, the database records the physical data of each of you before and after you were promoted to the strongest. I can retrieve it and refer to it directly. On the other hand, I have also referred to the physical conditions of Commander Zhang and Deputy Commander Zhao at close range. This is not difficult. When I was driving the Divine Mecha, I had many opportunities to complete it, and the recognition accuracy was higher. With these reserved record data, I can naturally make common and individual deductions. As for the error range, I estimate that as long as it is within 5%, the current version is feasible, and it can be quickly iterated and optimized according to the actual situation. Hearing this, a trace of disbelief rose in everyone's heart. Just from Li Yi's words, they could feel that Li Yi's research ability had surpassed most of the strongest experts. At only 20 years old, what other reason can explain it except that he is a monster? He is a resurrector? Impossible. Even a demigod-level resurrector like the Star Clan Patriarch did not dare to show up in front of the Supreme Powers during his lurking period. If Zhang Shengfeng had not found the possible hiding place of the Star Clan Patriarch by checking various data, the demigod-level clone of the Star Clan Patriarch might have continued to hide on Earth. With the eyesight of the Supreme Powers and the basic perception of the soul, the slightest abnormality would have been noticed long ago. Therefore, they never doubted Li Yi's human identity from beginning to end. Therefore, it was even more outrageous. A 20-year-old evolutionary genius, a combat genius, and a research genius. They were experienced in such outrageous things, but they always found it incredible. Lu Yancheng and Zhao He, who had gradually become familiar with Li Yi, were no longer shocked in their hearts, and felt a little bit of normality. Or, they were used to Li Yi doing things that they could not do from time to time. If Li Yi suddenly said that this could not be done, and that could not be done, it would be worthy of suspicion. However, my current limit is probably only a little deeper than the micron level, and I'm afraid I can't really reach the nano level. I can only reach a precision of about 80 nanometers in a short period of time, Li Yu said. Brother Tan, give me half a day to get familiar and adapt. After you get familiar, I will train your body, Qin Longchuan said. Then let's arrange your affairs like this. Lao Zhao, let's go to Xianshan prison to deal with Hangsuo's affairs. Old Lu, you stay and assist Li Yi. If there's anything you need, go and do it quickly. Lu Yancheng grinned. Don't worry, my good brother will help. On the training ground, Li Yu began to train his body. With a nanosensor, he can do more complex experiments on his own body. The first is the Xiangang Yidi microforging method. He directly slaps himself. If there is a place that he can't reach, he will activate the deformation and superelastic characteristics, stretch his arms, rebound in the opposite direction, and slap himself, and the effect is the same. Although he can also use more precise power to control his body and directly change at the micro level. But this step is naturally more effective, and it is a relatively advanced technique. But it is undoubtedly more difficult. With his current power control, to achieve this step, the consumption of soul power is extremely large. It is equivalent to only needing single-thread processing, but now it requires hundreds of threads to process synchronously to complete the task. Therefore, in order to improve the effect of body forging, he chose a simpler and more brutal method. Snap. 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 He had already used all his strength to forge for several rounds, and basically strengthened to the limit of the current strength. However, he did not ask for the Xiangang method to have a rapid improvement effect, but just maintained a fixed daily slap to adapt to the microscopic field of view of 100 nanometers. At the same time, daily training, perseverance, will definitely have long-tail benefits, which is worth persisting. Moreover, under the field of view of 100 nanometer precision, many details can be optimized. After a sleep, absorb the memory fragments that have been brushed out, and you will definitely be able to perfect a better one. After a few rounds of slapping, the next step is the Sea King transformation method. He has the Pluto sequence and many characteristics related to the Ice God sequence. His compatibility with the Sea King transfiguration method is not as high as Liu Yansheng's, but it is not bad. After all, this is his original technique. And many of them have been adjusted in a targeted manner. Soon, under the rapid correction of the microscopic field of view with a precision of 100 nanometers, the details of the Sea King transfiguration method were rapidly improved. And with the improvement of this technique, Li Yi's physical strength is also further transformed. Click, click. This time, with a drastic increase in physical strength, Li Yi quickly drank bottles of nutrients. He felt that the divine genes seemed to be stimulated by this physical improvement. The divine genes that had received enough divine radiation stimulation before were also rapidly generated. 1, 2, 3. His eyes moved slightly, and he actually generated 3 in one breath. So far, the number of his divine genes has reached 70 in one breath. A strong aura emanated from his body. At one side, Tan Yaozu looked at Liu Yansheng with a strange look. Old Liu, every time Li Yi generates divine genes, is it so fast, and is there so much? Liu Yansheng's mouth twitched, not knowing what to say. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.